Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to CryptoTrader's Room. And for a lot of the new viewers who might not know, CryptoTrader's Room is a place where we eat, drink, sleep, dream, trade, and invest in digital currencies. And if you haven't done so already, please click on that subscribe button as well as the post notification so that you're notified every time a video is uploaded or I schedule a live stream. And for a little reminder, a little disclaimer just before we get started, and that's just to remind everybody that I am not a licensed financial advisor, and what I do talk about on these live streams is not to be used as trading advice, and that it's only to be used for informational purposes only. So with that being said, welcome and happy Friday. Hope everybody is having a great start to the weekend. Let's see who we have in the room today. And if you're new, don't be shy. Say what's up. Become a regular. Stay connected with us as well too. Sign up for our mailing list on our website. There are links on the bottom of this video, or you can just go to www.cryptotradersroom.com and sign up for our mailing list, which then we will give you access to our general chat room. It's a free general chat room where you can actually keep the conversation going 24/7. There are people joining every single day from all over the world. So with everybody being from different time zones, you should always find somebody in that chat room conversing about digital currencies. And stay connected with us as well too on Steemit, Twitter, and Facebook. This video does get uploaded to Steemit, so if you have a Steemit account, help us get the word out and upload this video. Oni, welcome. Good morning. Abraham, good morning. It's great to see a new name on here. Hope everybody's doing well. But yeah, let's see what's going on today in the cryptocurrency world. Of course, major cryptos have been stabilizing the past couple of days. We haven't really seen a major dip to the upside or downside. I've come down a little bit, minor little correction, and it comes right back up. So it's pretty strong at this moment currently right now. But, the weekends could tell a different story. A lot of traders could be locking in the profits so that they're not, leaving risk on the table, especially if they're going on vacation or they're going to be away from their computers. That's usually what happens in the stock market. Usually on Fridays, there's a little bit of volatility, but volatility to the downside because people are locking in profits before the weekend starts, especially if they're not going to be in front of their computer trading. Hello from New Caledonia. Welcome, Gene. But yeah, major cryptos. Let's see. Bitcoin up 3.6%. Litecoin, it's been lagging a little bit. So that 310 Litecoins that I'm holding, I'm still there. But it's currently up 5.7%. Futures just looking pretty good, 6.3. So there are people out there believing that the price of LTC will increase to go up, but that could change at any time. I've seen those futures be high and then come down low. So it all depends on sentiment on how people are really feeling about the future of LTC, as well as BTC. BTC futures up 5.3%. And Ethereum Classic, it's been a little bit of a disappointment in comparison to the other day when she really started breaking out above the 1750. And then she came back down and kind of gave up that profit that a lot of people might have had if they got in at 1650 or 1750. But that 1750 was really a resistance for it. And she broke through that resistance, but then came right back and gave it all away. So we'll definitely be taking a look at that closely. But Bitcoin today, pulling back just a little bit from 2844 to just about 2800. Ethereum, it's not doing too bad considering it came down to 250. 264, the high was 269, so $5 off its high. That's nothing to be concerned about. That's actually pretty good. It's stabilizing. But Litecoin has got to make a better move than what it's done recently. It's been stuck in this funk, in this rot for a couple of days now. Let's take a look at the overall chart. Really, it's just having a hard time really breaking out above that 31.80 and then really breaking out above $30.80. I think she got to $30.90 at 12:30 this morning. But that's really not the exit point that I'm looking for. The exit point is minimum 31.80 is kind of what I'm looking for, minimum, to at least lock in some of the profit. Considering that is a resistance, she's not going to break out above 32 unless there's a lot of volume that comes in that really propels it to the upside. Until that happens, really that 31.80 is going to be a resistance for it, and I don't really see it getting above 31.80 today. It might get close to it. It might just, if it does break 31.80, it'll break it by a little bit, but then she'll get pulled right back down. So I am looking to kind of get rid of some of the position that I have, not everything, but at least maybe a quarter of what I have, just so I'm not stuck holding the whole position and it downtrends again to that 27.50. So, coming down to 27.50 was pretty scary, from 31.80. I'm just glad it didn't kind of still continue to rip to the downside and hit 27, 25, and just get down to that $22 level. But yeah, welcome everybody that's joining. And like I said, hopefully you guys are having a great Friday. Depending where you're located, it might even be Saturday where you are, or Friday evening, Friday night, midnight. But let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum Classic. And I did get rid of the support and resistance that I had, kind of put out new support lines for one support line for it, and then the 3 resistance that she has to get above. So that 1750 that she continuously, broke out above it very well, with a major pump to 1850, but she gave it all back. She came cracking down, and I thought she would really stabilize once she hit that 1850. Let me get rid of this. Once she hit that 1850 and came back down to 1750, that formed a nice support right at that 1750, and it's formed a support for a good amount of time. These are 15-minute candlesticks that we're looking at, and it's basically stayed above it. But then, I think BTC started coming down. Everything started coming down. Just a minor little correction, and of course, it pulled everything right back down with it as well too. So we'll see what she does today. She's still going to have a hard time at that 1750, I assume. Just like back down with it as well too. Just like she had a hard time before in the past at that 1750, where basically she got rejected about 5 different times from that 1750. So that 1750 is still going to be a key level for us to look at to see if she's going to break out above it. And if she does break out above it, she's got to break out above it with a vengeance and not just break out above it a little bit and then come right back down. Kofi, welcome. The Dubai Review, welcome. And hopefully you guys can hear me. You're looking at CV Coin, ICO. Yeah, I don't know anything about CV Coin. Yeah, with some of these ICOs, as long as you can get in, before the ICO is really launched, or actually, before it really goes live on some of these exchanges, there's definitely money to be made. But that's as long as you can get in, at the ICO level. And then sell once it gets listed, because a lot of these cryptocurrencies, once they get listed, profit takers, especially the millionaire investors that are investing in this pre-ICO, are definitely locking in those profits and causing it to drop. So if you're interested in a lot of these ICOs and you're not able to get in, pre-ICO, I would highly recommend waiting, once it's listed and waiting for a correction, if that is something that you wanted to get into, and not getting in as soon as it's listed. Because a lot of times, majority of them will come crashing down. Yeah, I would definitely be careful with ICOs. It's just almost like IPOs in the stock market. You don't want to get into that trade as soon as it's listed or as soon as it goes live on the trading exchange. You kind of want to wait for a correction, and they all correct. What is Ethereum doing today? Ethereum. Let's look at this on maybe a 6-hour chart. So May 27th, 148, but ever since May 27th, it's been on a nice uptrend. We got our moving averages. They're nicely separated. They're not ready to converge and cross each other. So this is a good sign for long-term investors if you're looking at this on a 6-hour chart. But for traders, you wouldn't even be looking at the 6-hour chart. You'd be basically looking at the 15-minute chart, hour chart, half-hour chart, whatever your exchange allows you to look at. But yeah, 6 p.m. last night or yesterday, 245 to its current price now at 264. So almost a $20 increase, which isn't bad at all. Bob, good morning, sir. Yeah, and if you're new to this, I do see a couple new names. Don't be shy. Definitely sign up for our mailing list so we give you access to our free general chat room. And then subscribe and click on that post notification. I did a live stream on Tuesday, which I wouldn't do a live stream on a Tuesday because of market conditions. And if that's the case, I end up doing a live stream that's not a scheduled live stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You definitely want to click on that post notification so that you're notified that there is going to be a live stream. And I try to schedule them at least a half an hour to an hour before the live stream goes live. But Litecoin is just basically hugging my entry point. And of course, my entry point is where the dotted lines are, and it's just been hugging it. Dip below it, but it's right back up to it, and it's just having a hard time breaking out above it, unfortunately. Yeah, there was definitely a lot of manipulation that was going on yesterday, and we're going to try to keep an eye out on some of this manipulation. I mean, the one was like 4,000 Litecoins on the buy side, but they just kept on moving it up and down, trying to manipulate sellers to try to sell. So a lot of times what I was seeing was, you would see a bunch of orders that were very small and tiny orders. I mean, these are good today. Today looks kind of healthy to me, to be honest with you, as long as these orders are legit orders and that they're not a wall that somebody or a group of traders or a trading room is trying to put up. But to see 200, 250, 317, 144, 200, 217 in the order book, it's pretty good in comparison to yesterday. What I was seeing yesterday was anywhere from 3 to 0.01 in the top 10, 15 on the buy side, and then you would have a 3,500 to 4,000 on the buy side that was just continuously moving their order up and down, up and down. And I mean, they would move it up rapidly. And basically what they were trying to do is, somebody that was sitting on the sideline and looking to sell, and that order was moving up and getting close to the actual physical price of Litecoin, they were looking for them to hit that market sell button. And once they hit that market sell button, what these bots would do is they would take that 4,000 Litecoin that was in the order book and just rapidly move it down as fast as they can, so that whoever's selling a good amount of coins is not going to have their coins executed at a high price. Little increments will be executed at these little tiny prices, and the majority of it will be executed at a very bottom price, and that would cause a slippage. So unless you're really paying attention to that and you think, oh, wow, there's a big buyer there, I'm going to try to sell to him or her or them, more likely, it's a bot. The bot sees that, and then they would rapidly move their order. So this 3,100, we're going to pay attention to. This 2,000, we'll pay attention to. 2,500, we'll pay attention to see if they're going to rapidly move it up and down, and try to manipulate sellers into getting rid of their coins. But right now, they seem to be staying right there. So this 25.34 has not moved from that $30.18 price point. 31.18 at $30.13, and then 2,100 at an even $30. So we'll see exactly, once it does get close to that execution price, if they actually either take it off or they move it down. One of those two is going to happen, unless it's a real trade that's looking to be executed at that price point. But more likely, it's not, and that's what's been really keeping this price down, are these manipulation of bots. Good morning, ECS. Hope all is well in Texas. Let's see. Can I recommend any good multi-coin electronic wallets? I like Jax. You can have Jax on your computer. You could have it on your phone, and it does support multiple currencies. And they're always going to be adding on, other coins to it as well too. Yeah, Jax is definitely what I use. Coin-to-me, I'm sure that's pretty good too. I haven't looked at it. ECS, if you use that, I'm sure you'd have some sort of recommendation. Exodus too. A lot of people have been talking about Exodus. I don't use Exodus. I haven't used it yet, but a lot of people have been talking about Exodus as well. You know what, ECS, that's good to know. So Only Coin-to-me has stated that they will be compliant on the BTC fork August 1st. That's pretty good to know, because I'm sure a lot of people are worried about that user activated soft fork and what to do with it. Yeah, the best thing to do is, if they're not going to support the fork, then yeah, get it off those exchanges. Put it on a Trezor or a any type of hard wallet that's out there. But yeah, I'm sure that's going to cause some sort of volatility on August 1st. So, I would definitely be ready, guys. Have money sitting on the sideline waiting to take a position, because these minor or major corrections can happen at any time, and there's going to be a lot of volatility that happens in that time frame. What do I think of Factum? I don't know. I'd have to take a look at the chart. I know it's been doing pretty well. But yeah, before we do that, let's take a look at the total market cap. It's got to be over 1.1. 1.2.8 billion. That's huge. And of course, BTC still has that 45% dominance on it. And yeah, it's just basically Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple that's really carrying the weight of this market cap. And without those three, the market cap would not be where it currently is, because all the other alts are basically lagging. So as long as the alts carry their weight, That 45% dominance should not be there. It should be lower. And we got to remember too, that 45% dominance or Bitcoin dominance is always going to be there. It is a very good transfer of value. Anybody that's really getting into cryptocurrencies and they want to trade, on an exchange that doesn't allow US dollars, what do they got to do? They got to purchase BTC and transfer it to that exchange. So if I'm using, let's just say Poloniex or Bittrex, and I want to start trading on those exchanges, I got to buy BTC. And I got to buy it at the current level right now that it's at in order to transfer it to be able to use it at a different exchange. So that could be what's fueling Bitcoin price to kind of stabilize and go up, is that people are always going to continuously want to buy it or have to buy it. They don't really have a choice. Those other exchanges don't accept US dollar or any other fiat currencies. So Bitcoin, they have to buy it in order to transfer it. And that just kind of stabilizes the price. But let's take a look at FCT. And ECS, thank you so much for joining, man. We missed you the last couple live streams. I know you were busy with your move and everything else, and I'm going to be in the same boat as you end of the month. So I don't really know what's going to happen, because I'm not going to have internet. So I'm going to do my best to keep these live streams going. But for a week, I might not be able to do a live stream. I'm not going to have internet, so it's going to be tough. Factum is down 4.4%. $69 Ratton, thank you so much for sharing that. I do appreciate it. So KeepKey will be supporting both forks. All right, let's take a look at Factum and see where it's been doing. Yeah, this isn't too bad at all. It's not a bad looking chart. It all depends, on an entry though. You got to be able to find a good entry. But where it's been, especially after the first pump, it corrected nicely for almost a month. And if I would have seen this, and seen this correction, and have it really come right back down to, before the pump started, that would have been a very good entry. But yeah, forming a larger cup, longer handle than it should be, but then had a really nice pump. And as you can see, volume increased as well too. So if you're really paying attention to the volume and you see volume increasing, that the price is going to increase with that volume as well too. But if I was looking to get into Factum, I would be looking at the previous high that is set, and that previous high was right around March 15th, March 16th. So that high looks to be right around 700 and, let's see, 750,000, 747,000. Let's just say 745,000. That's one level that I would be looking at if I wanted to be aggressive and get a position in. If I wanted to kind of be patient with it, I would be looking at this high that it had set here and see if it's gonna get to that level. And it seems like it got up to that level before really consolidating or pulling back just a little bit. So that second level I'd be looking at is probably right around the 650,000 satoshis. But yeah, they definitely pumped it nicely this morning. It looks like, or actually from June 1st, it's just been on an up. But of course, it's giving back, and it's going to do that. If it goes up so fast, it's going to give back some of its profits, some of its gains. But volume looks very good, especially the last couple of days. But yeah, as you can see, it's starting to dry up. Volume is pretty low today on a one-day candlestick. But yeah, it could be stabilizing. It could be stabilizing at these levels here. It looks like there's a good amount of consolidation that's happening. And the range is getting a little tighter too as well. But anything could happen really, depending on where buyers and sellers are stacked up. Let's just take a look and see if there's any big sellers. 4.19 BTC, right at 969,000 satoshis. Current price 977,000 Satoshis. So there is support for this. There really is. I mean, 4.9 at 972 that somebody's looking to buy. But I don't think we got a seller. We got a seller at 975,000 Satoshis, but not much that they're selling. So not too many big sellers, especially in the top 100. But we do have a couple buyers, 4 BTC in volume, 2 BTC in volume. So that could fuel it just a little bit. But yeah, you definitely want to get in before the pump, and before they pump it up. If it's already been pumped, you're too late to the game. And if it's something you're interested in, I would wait for a correction to happen. Kofi, Game, and Monero. Somebody asked me about Game Credit long time ago, and I basically responded. I said, hey, you know what? If they could corner this gaming market, they can do very well. And they've done very well. I think it was like 30 cents. And this was basically when I was first making videos. Yeah, I mean, it's done very well. It really has. I don't really know the news behind it, but, this chart is pretty impressive. But yeah, I mean, I'm not interested in getting into Game Credit, but if I was, and I wanted to be patient with it, I would put in a lowball offer, somewhere right in this range here. It looks like to be 100, 103, 104,000 Satoshis. That's a level that I would be patient with. And that's not to go all in. That's just basically maybe get a quarter of a position in there. And then if it does dip more, get another quarter in that position just to kind of lower your cost average. Monero, let's see. Monero has actually been pretty steady at that 56 level. And if you're new to this, please click on that subscribe button. We are very close to getting 1,000 subscribers within, less than 6 months, 5.5 months. So if you haven't clicked on that subscribe button, help us out. Help out CryptoTrader's Room. Click on that subscribe button. And if you do find this information helpful, help us out by clicking on that thumbs up button. I think the more likes we have, the more of a chance that people are able to find this. So 979 subscribers, 21 off from 1,000. So, we got about 21 viewers, 25 viewers today on this live stream. And if you're not one of those subscribers, help us out by clicking on that subscribe button, especially if you find this information helpful. So Game Credit has Mobile Go coming out. Yeah, so as long as they're expanding, I think, and they can tap into this huge gaming market and really start to dominate, yeah, Game Credit could do very well. They really could. But what's to say, some of these gaming platforms are just not going to accept BTC instead of accepting game credits. But yeah, 56.30 on Monero, and it's holding that support line that I drew out a couple of days ago at $52. It's held it pretty well considering, it got rejected a couple times here, and of course it broke out heavily. And when it did come down, it came down close to it. So that indicates to me that that's a good support at 52. Even though down here it broke below 52, it came right back up. It didn't hover below that 52 and just started downtrending. It came right up to uptrend. And then of course, if we can see this right here, let me put a circle there for you guys. Right in that range there, it did come back and touch it. And when it touched it, it came right back up. So this is definitely a good sign, and right up here as well too. So these 2 price points, it dipped below it, came right back up. That indicates to me that yes, that is a good amount of support. They are supporting this to the upside. And then whoever bought it down here took profits up here, brought it down, came right down close to that $52, and then gained basically $4 from it. So those are really good support areas there at that $52 level. So that's, if you're looking at getting into this, that's kind of the first area that I would be looking at. And if it does break it, of course, we got our second area at $47. So, with any trades that you get into, unless you're very comfortable, don't go all in. Just put in a little bit of your position, a little bit of your capital into it to see what it does. And if it does dip further, let's just say hypothetically dips to that 47.50, then you can add a little bit more and lower that cost average. That's the best thing to do. But let's take a look and see what's going on with Litecoin, with possible manipulations. A good amount of buyers, a lot of buying is stacked up. 2,700, 3,200, 3,100, anywhere above $30.09. That indicates to me, or even above $30, there's another 2,200. So if these are real buyers, it is looking good for LTC, where there is that support above 30, and I don't really see this falling below 30, as long as those are real buyers that are stacking up and actually looking to take position, and not really a fake wall because they're trying to sell at $30.40 or $30.39, so they put up this crazy wall to kind of trick people into thinking, okay, you know what, it's going to go up. Let me get in, before these guys get in. So that actually I can make a little bit of profit. But the $30.18, that's pretty close to execution for 2,780 Litecoins. So I would say that's a real buyer or real buyers that's sitting at that price level there. But the $30, we'll see. 23 cents away from execution is not too bad. It could happen anytime, but they could also take it off, or the bot could take it off, and the bot's going to be very quick at taking off that buy limit that they have in the book. What's up with Bancor? I don't know. Tell me what's up with Bancor. What is it doing? Stellar Lumen's low price point at the moment. Yeah, we'll take a look at it. And I don't think they're on Poloniex. But let's take a look. I think it might be. It is on. Yeah, I forgot that it was on a USDT pair as well too. Down 5%. So let's see. Yeah, Ripple's been somewhat of a disappointment. It's hovering right in that price range, which isn't bad. But for anybody that got into this, a couple weeks ago, they're just watching it kind of flatline and not do anything. All right, Stellar. Not much of a correction, really. It's definitely done very well from where it's been. But yeah, I don't know if it'll be getting up to that 8 cents anytime soon. Yeah, I would wait for a pullback on this. If you are looking to take in position. Yeah, if it pulls back, I would say to a major support area. A major support area is going to be right around the almost 3 cents, a little under 3 cents, 0.029, possibly 0.0287. And that's if you wanted to be patient with it and let it come to you. But if you wanted to kind of get skin in the game, but you don't want to be buying at this current level there, then I would possibly wait until maybe 0.042, possibly 0.04 even. But I think 0.042, right at these levels right here, is probably going to be a somewhat of a good entry if you're looking to get a position right away and not have to wait for that dip to happen. Now it could hit that level of 0.042 and then dip to that actual level of 0.028, 0.03 possibly. And anything's possible with these cryptocurrencies. But volume is pretty high. It's pretty good, but yeah, it's more on the selling side than anything else. And out of all the things that are paired with USDT, that's the only one that's down today. What the hell is up with BitShares? I don't know. We'll take a look. And is Logan on today on this live stream? I need him to unblock. Let me see if I can do it. No, see, yeah, I don't see anybody that's blocked because I didn't block anybody or ban anybody from this live stream. But I need Logan to unban somebody. So Logan, if you're on this, let me know. Let's see, BitShares. It's probably on Bittrex. Kofi, what are you talking about with metal-backed cryptos coming? If you know of any, I can definitely try to take a look at them. But I haven't really researched any metal-backed cryptos. So let's see, what was I looking at? BitShares. ETS. 41% today. Yeah, you might be too late to the game, bud. Too late to the game at this price point. Yeah, I mean, if you were really waiting for confirmation on a breakout, you know, I would have looked to see if she was going to break out above this high here, and that high would have been right around 5,165, and you know, it looks like she broke out of it with pretty good. Broke out above it, and then really maintained it. And this would have been a good indication that, yes, okay, you know what, she broke above that prior resistance, and she is maintaining that resistance, and she's treading above that resistance of, you know, 5,000, let's just say 5,000, 4,985, something to that extent. That would have been a good time to take a little bit of a position, considering she is stabilizing above that prior resistance, and, you know, there could be a nice uptick. So that would have been the point to get in if you were looking for a positive confirmation, and not just getting in and hoping that it goes up. But that would have been pretty good, you know, from 5,000 to almost 7,400, 7,500. But yeah, I think at this current level right now, it's, you know, I'm late to the game to get in. Because she is going to have a pullback. And if she does pull back, she could pull back to right around the 5,200 possibly. And I'm basically looking at, you know, the high of this here, as well as the high of that. And that seemed to be kind of symmetrical to where that was a resistance. And she did exactly what everything basically does when it hits a resistance, and there isn't the buying or support. There's more on the selling side. So as we can see, you know, that was kind of the high that it kind of touched before really coming down and crashing, making its way back up. But then she crashed back down and really stabilized in this area here. So if anybody got in this area, you know, they would be looking to basically, you know, either sell at this high here or at that high there. And that's exactly what they did right at this level here. They looked at the couple prior highs and realized, you know what, that's a high that it had set. Let me get out of this before it really downtrended and flatlined right around the March area. And that's exactly what happened. They got out of that trade at that high, and she pulled back. And then buyers bought it back up and supported it. And they supported this trend right here, this amount of consolidation that happened. And they brought it right back up. So, and as we can see, you know, volume wasn't, everything was in the red in volume. So there's a lot more selling that was happening than buying. So, you know, if you were trying to catch it up here, you were catching a falling knife. It's better to kind of wait, you know, and have it settle down and look at the support, see where that support might be to find an entry. Now, you're not always going to get that exact support where it might touch, but, you know, you'll get close to it and get a better entry than buying it up here and then having it dip on you. And then you might panic and sell before it actually gets right back up. So, and these are one-day candlesticks that we're looking at. So for the past, you know, 2 days, it's been doing pretty well. I mean, this is a lot of volume that's coming into this. News-wise, I have no clue what's going on with BitShares. But remember, a lot of these, you know, little coins can be heavily manipulated at any time. And you don't want to feed into the hype. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that fed into the hype, you know, and some of them can be rewarded, especially, you know, if they bought the top of this candlestick, because really it's still on an uptrend today with today's candlestick, and today's candlestick doesn't look too bad at all. You know, we don't have a crazy wick either at the top where it would indicate that yes, buyers bought it up, and then sellers or short sellers brought it right back down. It's still maintaining it, which is definitely a positive sign. But yeah, if you were looking at this, probably I would say yesterday. I mean, a lot of the cryptocurrencies did. They're all doing the same thing. They're forming that flag pattern, and that's exactly what this did here. I mean, it formed a flag. So if we draw kind of a support line, and then you draw the line from the high up here down to where it is, I mean, it would form a triangle wedge, and that's exactly what she did. She hit that triangle wedge, and had a crazy kick to the upside, right around from about 5,800 to the high today of 7,600. That's pretty good. Let's see, Rocky Mountain High saying 2 days of pumping like mad with high market cap. I haven't seen really 2 days of pumping yet. Not yet. Especially with the top 10 cryptocurrencies. Let's see, Rocky Mountain High saying, yeah, I'm not jumping in on that train. I've been tempted all the way through, but it has no good reason for putting up the stats it has. Yeah, a lot of these cryptocurrencies don't. They really don't, to be honest with you. So that's something you got to take with with a grain of salt and say, okay, you know what? What is the reason for this really to move up? It could just be somebody, like I said before. I mean, people are accumulating and accumulating when it flatlines. So let's take a look at, let's go back to BitShares. So I mean, there's a couple of different points where people could have been accumulating and accumulating. I'll probably got to look at the one-day chart. And that's why, once we get this crypto traders room going, and everybody's looking at different cryptocurrencies, hopefully they'll be alerting us or alerting the group that, hey, something has been up for a while, but now it's flatline, and it's been flatlining for the past several months. It's not a bad idea to take an entry. And basically right here in these ranges here, it's been flatline, and that's all it did. And that's where a lot of the accumulation is happening with a lot of the big money that's coming in. They'll just accumulate. And once they've accumulated enough, it's time for them to start pumping it. And it's easy to pump it once you've accumulated enough. You just start buying small increments at a high amount like the bots do. And then, once they see that, the percentage is increasing, a lot of people will look at that and say, whoa, look at this thing, it's ready to fly. Let me get in. And if you get in, at the moment that they're starting to pump it, especially, right in this range here, where you see a crazy volume spike, where volume was just stagnant. It was non-existing. And then all of a sudden, volume just starts to pop up out of nowhere. And you see a big spike here. It's like, that should have drawn some sort of alarm and say, you know what, they are starting to pump this. They've been accumulating this thing for months and months and months, and now they're ready to pump it. And that's exactly what they did. So, this is definitely an accumulation range. And if you're looking to kind of hold something long-term for a bigger pump, this is what I would be looking for something that just kind of flatlines for a good amount of time and has stayed, in that range. More than likely, the longer it flatlines and the longer that it stays in that range, that's a great opportunity to get in, because really, more than likely, it's not going to fall any further. It would have already done that. Yeah, I've never heard of a lot of these coins, Kofi. Yeah, I'm not really into the ICOs as much. Let's see. BitShare offers a real useful, decent product. I've been holding for a long time, waiting for today to happen, and there you go, buddy. It's happened. So, if you were accumulating, where it basically kind of flatlined, I'll call it the accumulation price range, then yeah, you'll do very well. You just have to have the stomach for it and maintain that position. But yeah, that's what I would like. Some of the people that are joining our general chat room, or if we're going to be upgrading them to the actual traders chat room, I mean, there's 750 different types of cryptocurrencies, and if we really let's say we go to Bittrex, all of us go to Bittrex, and then we start looking at all the coins and analyzing them, and everybody's looking at a different coin for, these type of setups where something has flatline and form the group. It's a great opportunity for all of us to kind of get a nice entry, a nice position in. And then, wait for the pump to happen, and the pump will happen. Let's see, I'm missing a lot of these comments. Stefan saying it has the best USD pegging system that doesn't require them to hold fiat, which could be seized by the government. It's true. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these are good long term if you're willing to hold them. So I mean, there's a lot of the cryptocurrencies. If you're willing to hold them and you buy them at the bottom barrel when they're just consolidating after a huge run up, because a lot of these will run up huge, and then they'll come crashing down, and then they will stabilize and kind of move sideways with little upticks here and there. That's the best time to get in. Dylan, thank you so much. So yeah, I can't do it from my channel at all on my side, considering I didn't ban that person. I think Logan has to do it because yeah, under my profile, it doesn't show that I banned anybody because it would show anybody that I banned from this live stream, and then I can click on their name and unban them. So basically, Logan has to do it from his channel. I'm assuming, considering he banned Tim Koch, I think his name was. Oni's asking, anybody got any plans for making gains on August 1st? Yeah, I'm going to be sitting on the sideline with a good amount of USD, waiting for a crazy crash to happen. Yes, yes, Stefan, you couldn't have said it any better. Flatlines plus great crypto project that checks out equals pump coming. Yeah, the pump will happen. I mean, there's only 750 cryptocurrencies. I think later on down the road, 5 years down the road, once the cryptocurrencies increase and we got 10,000 cryptocurrencies out there, then yeah, it might be hard to kind of pick out what's going to be pumped. But right now, I mean, you could just look around and find something that's been flatlined and it'll get pumped pretty soon. Go to their profile. Yeah, I don't even know what his profile is on Facebook. I mean, on YouTube. Let me actually just do a little research while and see if I could send him a message on Facebook. Yeah, I kind of felt bad for him, but he was like, "Can you please unban me? Logan banned me for no reason." And I was like, "There had to be a reason why he banned you." I'm like, "I didn't see it, but I was like, dude, I'll unban you." Let's see if he even has a link for his Facebook or for his YouTube. Yeah, I told him I would unban him by today. I know he wrote the message somewhere. I just can't remember where that message is. So his message was saying, "Hey, can you unban me? Logan banned me for no reason. Really, I was joking when I said this room sucked. I don't really care that he said this room sucked. If he doesn't want to be there, he doesn't have to be in the live stream. But I'll unban him. But it's a matter of finding out what his profile on YouTube is." Yeah, just bear with me, guys, while I write Tim a message real quick. All right, so let's see what else is going on. Yeah, I mean, everything is stabilizing. Everything is stabilizing. So we're not really getting this crazy uptick, crazy downtick. It'd be nice if we can get a nice movement to the upside. But we'll see what Litecoin does, considering buyers are stacking up, especially for it to get that 31 bucks, considering it hit $30.90 today before kind of giving it back up. Wait, that was at 12:45 a.m. So I wasn't awake at 12:45 a.m. to see that. Bob, no, you don't. So if you cancel a limit order, you do not have to pay commission. And so, somebody asked me a while ago, if I have a limit order, am I paying commission for that limit order to be in the book? No, you only pay commission or fees when that trade actually executes. That's the only time you pay commission. So you could have a low ball offer sitting there for months and months and months and months. You're not going to pay anything extra. It just locks up that, the USD or whatever, coin that you're using to be able to put in that low ball offer. Marcel, welcome. I'd love now. Bear with me. I don't know in regards to what, but I'll bear with you. Under youtube.com management. Yeah, I played around with this yesterday after I got the message from him, and I couldn't find anything at all on how to unban him. I mean, it basically showed that I was not banning anybody. We'll take a look at that real quick. Let's see. Oni saying Gollum had a nice little pump a ways back. He took a third profit and bought into into Ethereum. So I don't know what price point you bought Ethereum at. Almost wish you hadn't. You'd think it has a solid fighting chance for a long term. The nice thing is though, you didn't sell everything. You only locked in a third of your profit. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And you put that third into something else, and hopefully you bought Ethereum at a very reasonable price, and you didn't buy at the high. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with locking in profit. You didn't sell everything, so you still have 2/3 left for the possible, like you said, for it to have that fighting chance for long term. That's the only saying. I'll grab a few LTC just in spec of what it could happen on the 1st. I don't know what's happening on the 1st. On the 1st of June, possibly. But yeah, or July. I'm sorry, because we're already in June. Yeah, Dylan. So there's nothing on here. I mean, I got my moderators on there, of course. Bill, I haven't seen in a long time. But yeah, there's nobody that's banned on here. So I think it has to be under the person's profile that banned that person. So Logan would be basically the only one that could unban him. So we'll see if Logan gets on. Okay, August 1st with the user activated soft fork or the SegWit. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going to be happening within the next, couple weeks, couple months. A lot. And I highly recommend guys just having some cash on the sideline waiting. And when I say on the sideline, I don't mean, having the money in your bank account waiting to transfer to the exchange. because I could take a couple of days for that to happen. I mean, in the sense that having the money in the exchange, waiting for something major to happen, that's the best way of being prepared. But let's take a look on Bittrex and see exactly what's moving today and what's tanking. If there are any of the popular cryptocurrencies or good cryptocurrencies that might have tanked. But before we do that, I just wanted to look at PIVX real quick because nobody's talking about PIVX. Under 55,000 Satoshis. So it hasn't dipped below that 30,000, below 27,000 Satoshis. Bitcoin Dark, I mentioned this the other day. Man, 0.024, and it was down under 0.01. Yeah, 0.01 would have been a great entry. That was a good amount of consolidation. Yeah, 140% profit there. What's getting beat up? Anything good that's getting beat up? Zen. Oh, man. I don't know if you guys got into Zen at an early point, but yeah, it's not doing too good. And it did crash to 0.002, under 0.002. And that was just recent. Let's see. That was yesterday. Wow. Yeah, see, unless you're paying attention to these cryptocurrencies, one person can't keep an eye on everything. And that's going to be the benefit of CryptoTrader's Room. Once you guys learn how to, or ladies, once you learn how to spot some of these trends and be able to spot some of these bottoms and notify the group, yeah, I mean, this is a great opportunity. If anybody was looking at Zen at that time, to see it drop below 0.002, I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And just as fast as it dropped, it basically came right up. So a lot of people might have thought, and I would have thought this, to be honest with you, that it was consolidating, and this is a great entry point because it's been consolidating for a while now, for 2 days. But yeah, complete fake out consolidation. And that's why you just don't look at that. You also want to look at the order book and see exactly what's in the order book on the buying and the selling side. But yeah, somebody came in pretty hot on the sell side and just started selling, which caused us to really dump. I mean, volume was at 34.8 thousand. Let's just say 35,000 was the volume. So that caused definitely a huge crash. And anybody that was waiting to buy this, yeah, that 0.02, under 0.02 would have been a great entry. Really, it's 100% profit because it did make it up to 0.04. Basically 405,000 Satoshis is what it made it to, from being down from that low of 192,000 Satoshis. So yes, I mean, these are the type of things that I would love to be informed about once that Crypto Traders Room gets big, and you guys are able to spot some of these trends, some of these dips that happen. Because this dip really didn't last long. I mean, we're looking at a half-hour candlestick with this here, but let's get a little granular and see on the 5-minute maybe, and how long that drop lasted for. All right, this is on a 5-minute candlestick. So let's get a little more granular and look at the 1-minute candlestick. Because a lot of times they don't really present that great opportunity where it really is within a minute. On a 1-minute candlestick, they dip and then they come right back up. But it looks like on this, if you were paying attention to the 1-minute candlestick, you would have had a couple opportunities to get in. Now you might not have been able to get in at 0.02. But let's see, on the second candlestick, yes, you would have been able to get in at 0.02 considering it was 192,000 Satoshis. But after that, it would have probably been somewhere in the range of 210,000 Satoshis. But yeah, it presented a couple opportunities, 3 minutes worth of candles to find a good entry if, Zen was a trade that you were looking at getting into. And what do you know, it popped right back up to it. So it came down fast and went up just as fast as well too. Okay, Dylan, that's good to know. So I shot him an email, so we'll see if he responds back, and if he does, I'll unblock him. Yeah, I mean, definitely keep an eye out on Bitcoin Dark. You should, like I said before, you should definitely have a handful of cryptocurrencies that you kind of monitor on a day-to-day basis, to look at the trend and to find a great opportunity to get in. There's no way that you can look at, all of them. I don't even know how many are on Bittrex. Off the top of my head, let's see. I mean, there's a lot. So there's no way that for you to be able to follow all these cryptocurrencies. But at least if you have, your top 10, your favorite top 10 cryptocurrencies that you look at, then you're able to find a good entry. But, as the crypto traders room grows, like I said, I mean, we're all going to be looking at different things, and, to be informed that, hey, you know what, Zen just dropped to 0.02 or 0.002. And that's a huge drop for it. I think the popularity for Zen is still there. It's not like, Pivx, where Pivx popularity was there and it just completely, degraded. Let's take a look at Z Classic, considering Zen was a fork of Z Classic. So let's see, on it, you grab dark and then cashed out. There you go. That's what trading's about, man. Don't fall in love with it. You made that profit, and you get out. So hopefully, it was a great entry, and hopefully it was a great exit. Yeah, and this is basically Z Classic, and Z Classic, man. So that was a crazy dump right there. Looks like they dumped it to, wow, 1,001 Satoshis was what they dumped it to. Or is that 101,000? Let me make sure. No, it was 1,001 Satoshis on May 19th. Yeah, that would have been not a bad opportunity to get in, if you're able to catch that bottom. And really, if you don't already have a limit order in the book, these are hard to catch. They're very hard to catch, to be honest with you, unless you're watching them. By the time you get to them and see them, yeah, it might be too late to get in. But let's see, what does she come back down to? Came back down to 127,000, just about 128,000 Satoshis. So there could be more downtrend for this. It's giving you a little bit of fake out here and there, but I wouldn't trust those until we really see it completely just flatline, and volume is not, there isn't a huge uptick in volume. In this range here would have been somewhat good to get in, right around the range of 130,000 Satoshis, because then, and then basically get out. Get out before the dump happens, 190,000 Satoshis. So you just made 40,000 Satoshis or something to that extent, or 60,000 Satoshis. Nobel Prize, welcome. And you're asking, am I holding any altcoins for long term right now? Well, I mean, aside from Bitcoin, they're all altcoins. So I am holding 310 Litecoins, 20 Ethereums, and 150 Ethereum Classics, I think. Yes, 150 Ethereum Classics, 20 Ethereums, and then 310 Litecoins. And Litecoin has just been basically hovering below my buy-in price. My buy-in price was $30.37. Now, I should have probably been a little patient with it, and that entry that I was looking for, waiting to be patient, was basically 28.50ish, 20 under 29. But then when I kind of saw that 30.37 was really stabilizing, and I really wasn't looking to stay in it for too long, and I should have probably got out when it went up to 31.80. But I was looking to see what it would do when it got close to 32, to see if she was going to break 32 and get to 33, 34 possibly. But she only got to 31.80, and then, of course, got pulled back to 28. Logan, there you are, buddy. Welcome, sir. Hope all's well in the UK. Logan, I completely agree with your comment, buddy. Completely. But he was remorseful. You know, he wrote me a message on Facebook, and he said he was just joking. So, you know, I'd like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But no, you did great, man. I appreciate you taking care of it, nipping it in the butt right away. And if he hadn't wrote me an email, to be honest with you, I wouldn't care about unbanning him. But he wrote me a nice email saying, "Hey, you know what? I do follow a bunch of traders, and I was just joking. You know, I definitely want to be part of the crypto traders live stream. So, you know, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. You know, I don't mind giving people chances, but if it continuously happens, then yeah, you know, I probably wouldn't give him a chance at all. So if you have the ability to unban him, please do so. But I do appreciate you taking the initiative and, like I said, you know, nipping it in the butt. BTS went up 10% since we talked about it. Yeah, they are going to have that move, and if you can find a good entry, you know, 10% gain is not bad at all. Let's see, Oni, 2017 has been crazy. Yes, it has. You know, I mean, I sold my Bitcoin January 2nd, I'm going to say, when it touched 1,000. Yeah, so basically, you know, within past not even 5.5 months, you know, it's up from 1,000 to it went up to $2,900. Yeah, so 2017 has been crazy, and 2017 could be forming, you know, the bubble for 2018, possibly. You feel like Danny Glover from Lethal Weapon. Nice. Yeah, man. Trading crypto can be stressful. It ages your soul. Yeah, it might even take your soul, to be honest with you. Yeah, and I mean, and this is a time, you know, if, you know, even though some of us are getting into cryptocurrency now, we're still somewhat early adopters. You know, it's not that old. I mean, look at the stock market where it's been and, you know, where it's currently at right now. So we're still early adopters. I am missing a lot of these comments and I do apologize. Yeah, Stefan, that's a great recommendation. If you're interested in holding long term, just, you know, wait for a correction, get a good entry. And then I wouldn't really, you know, if you are looking at getting in these long term, I really wouldn't, you know, follow it day by day, to be honest with you. Following these cryptocurrencies day by day is going to cause you to, it's going to cause your emotions to take control. And, you know, if your plan was to hold long term, don't look at the chart, to be honest with you. Look at it maybe on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. You know, definitely put in a high sell order just in case it does pump when you're not looking at it. But yeah, if you're a long-term investor, don't even look at the day-to-day, you know, 15-minute movement. You know, look at the 6-hour chart, look at the one-day chart and see, you know, if it's trending to the upside on the one-day chart or the 12-hour chart, whatever you have access to. The Dubai review, let's see what you're saying. Sorry you didn't reply to my question. I'm not sure what the question was that I asked you during the live stream. It's because your internet went bad. Yeah, it happens to the best of us. You found a good small cap on cryptos. Let's see. My messages are scrolling up. Spectra, XSPEC. Um, Let us know what exchange that's on. I'm sure. You know what? Let me find it. I can find it out if it's already on CoinMarketCap. It is not on CoinMarketCap at all, at least not yet. Yeah, don't chase. Don't chase. You know, you're just adding fuel to that fire. Zen could be a buy now. Yes, if you're looking for long-term hold, yes, Zen could definitely be a buy. Let's see, Oni saying, it took you so a long time ago. You love the stuff. They say day trading activates the same parts of the brain as heroin and sex. It's addictive. It really is addictive. But you got to be able to control that. You got to be able to control your addiction because then it becomes gambling. But yeah, day trading is not easy, man. It's not easy. I've got tons of gray hair already, and I'm like, well, I know I got some of them from the kids and the wife, and but I think majority of it is from cryptocurrency and the stock market. Yeah, never chase, man. Never chase, and I'll always say that. If you're looking at something and it's already pumped, you're too late to the game. And if you're buying at that top, you're just basically fueling fire to the upside, possibly, but it could turn around on you. It could completely turn around on you, and it happens to every trader. It's like you get into a trade and it dips, you get out and it goes up. It happens to me all the time, and it's going to happen to you guys on just about majority of your trades. So when you get in, it'll dip down and you're like, what just happened? It seems like it's a conspiracy that's out to get us somehow, some way. Especially when we get in, it dips, and then you get out, it goes up. It's like, what just happened here? Did somebody know that I was getting in and they dipped it? And did somebody know that I was getting out and they raised the price? But yeah, it happens all the time. And that's why it's always just good to lock in a little bit of the profit in case that it does go up. Yeah, let me get to a couple more of these questions, and then we're going to really take a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum Classic, and Litecoin as well too. Oh man, Oni. I'm sorry, I'm just seeing the message now. Day-to-day peeping got to you, and you panic sold. Auger rep. You were holding that since 17. Wow. Yeah, and that's why really, I, I personally really don't care about Ethereum Classic at this current moment right now, in the sense of the position that I do have, considering those positions were bought at $4.30 and $7. So I mean, I bought them pretty low. Um, so I'm not too worried at all. I mean, even if it dips below 10, I'm not too worried. I'm still in the profit. Yes, I am giving up majority of my profit back, but I'm still in the profit. So I try not to worry about Ethereum Classic too much. Now, if I had bought Ethereum Classic at 1650, yeah, I would probably be a little worried, and I'd probably be looking at it like a hawk, considering I might be down in my position now. But considering I bought them so cheap, and if you buy something so cheap and it's up so high, yeah, I really I would set a very high sell price, but I would not look at it day to day, because really it's going to cause to happen exactly what happened to you. Emotion kicks in and you end up selling, and then it goes up. buy pre buy pre-pump. So what's a good pre-pump? Yeah, dude, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I mean, the best thing you can do is look at something that's just been flatlining for a while. And if we can all pull our resources together as part of Crypto Traders Room and be able to look at different cryptocurrencies and say, hey, you know what, this has been flatlining for the past 6 days. And just kind of inform the group. And then, we can kind of look at it and make our own informed decision on whether that's a good entry or it's not a good entry. But that's the best thing to do, is look for something that's been pumped up in the past, that's completely flatlined, to get a little bit of an entry in. Now, it all depends on, what part of the flat line are you buying in? Are you buying in the beginning of or the middle of the flat line, where it's going to flatline again for a couple of days? Or are you buying at the end of that flat line before the pump actually happens? And you definitely want to get in before the pump happens. So look for something that's just been flatlining, that hasn't really been moving at all. More than likely later on down the road, and this is going to be a long-term hold for you guys, especially too, later on down the road, that there is a possibility that it could be pumped up. But yeah, if something's been flatlining for a while, more than likely it's not going to go down any further than where it's flatlined. It's going to maintain that flat line. EDG pre-pump. Let's see. I don't know if they're on. They're not on Poloniex or Bittrex. Nope, they are not on Poloniex or they are not on Bittrex. Rocky Mountain, nice. Rocky Mountain just basically stated my wife stayed in Vegas last night on her way back from visiting in-laws. She said she was sitting down at her favorite new style slot machine, and I said, "Fine." Then I'm spending 6,000 on a new mining rig. Yes, there you go, man. There has to be compromise. Me and my wife compromise all the time. Yeah, Only that's a pretty good statement. Hawkeyes lead to weak hands. Yeah, if you're watching something and you're just constantly watching it, it's human emotion. That's what really causes weak hands. So if you have a good position and you believe in that great position because you got in at the bottom barrel and you got in where it was consolidating, more likely you're going to have a strong hand. But if you're buying on these crazy, upticks, while the pump is happening, then yeah, more likely, when it starts to dip, you're going to have a weak hand, you're going to have a weak stomach, you're going to sell at a loss. No, I think the drop in Z Classic was basically profit takers. Maybe taking Zcash and putting it into Zen. That's a possibility. Yeah, but I think I think I need to start following some of these splits that are happening to see exactly how the cryptocurrency that was pre-split reacts after it's been listed on an exchange. Bittrex has EDG. I don't know. I couldn't find it. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, it took a while for it to come up. 11,592 satoshis. Where has this been? And probably got to look at the 1 hour chart or the 1 day chart. I mean, this was just recently listed, not long ago. Yeah, I don't really see this thing flatlining. I mean, we don't really have much data. This is all the data that we basically have. Yeah, 7,000, right in the range of 7,000, 8,000. That would have been the consolidation stage. But yeah, it's hard to tell with a lot of these, cryptocurrencies that are just getting listed on an exchange. You don't have that much data to kind of go off to say, okay, you know what, this has been pumped 3 times, and at every pump it gets flatlined and pumps again and gets flatlined, it pumps again, it gets flatlined. I mean, it's telling you the history, it's telling you the story of what it likes to do. And if you could really see those patterns and be able to say, okay, you know what? This is the third time that it pumped and flatlined. I'm going to get in at this flatline. I'm not buying at the top. I'm going to buy at this baseline and kind of hold on to it for a couple of days and wait for the next pump to happen. You just got to be prepared when the pump happens, because if you're not prepared, if you're not watching it when the pump happens, then you're going to miss it and it's going to flatline again to your entry price. Yeah, I have a Jax wallet, but honestly, I don't use it. There's nothing on there. But I do have a Jax wallet. I haven't logged on in a couple of days to see what coins they might have added onto it. Yeah, I agree, Stefan. I agree with Oni's statement. Yeah, watching something like a hawk will cause you to sell and cause you to panic. It's human. It's human emotions. It takes control. Yeah, Rocky Mountain High. Let me see. You're stating basically 2 weeks ago, uh, you were in this chat just getting started. Basically, you had 500 bucks in, and you dropped another 5,700 this week, mostly in mining cloud. You're setting up for long term. Yeah, I would just be careful with some of these mining clouds. Just make sure that your return on investment is going to be profitable. Who's to say that these cloud mining operations don't shut down and take everybody's initial capital that they started out with? All right, I think I got to all the comments. I'm going to just take a quick 2-minute break. I've been having back problems, so I need to stretch out my back sitting on this chair. But once I get back, we're going to really take a look at some of the popular cryptocurrencies and see exactly, where we might be going. ETC looks like it's, getting up. Hopefully, gets up to that 1750. We'll see how she reacts to that 1750 because that 1750 has given it a hard time in the past, and she's really only broken out above it just recently on the 7th. And what do you know? She came right back down, and that was when Bitcoin, Ethereum, and also Litecoin were dipping. So, if they dip, it's going to follow the same suit. It's going to dip with them. So that's why it's always good to pay attention to see what Bitcoin is doing, because Bitcoin could have a snowball effect on some of these popular cryptocurrencies as well too. So let me take a break, and then I'll get right back on and doing some analytical work and doing a little bit of charting. And that's kind of what I enjoy doing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to this Kofifi. I don't think we ever found out what the terminology of Kofifi was. All right, so let's see. Let's take a look at Litecoin first, considering that's my main position that I do have currently right now. Buyers are still stacked up. I mean, they are stacked up very nicely, above $30.50, really. We still do have a couple in the $30.03, the $30 range. So anything above 30, I mean, we got 2, 3, probably 13,000 in the order book on the buy side. Now, if they're real, if they're fake, who knows? All we can really do is kind of keep an eye on them as they get close to the execution price to see if they are going to be executed. The 30.35 for 2,593, I would say, is real. I mean, the price is $30.39. It's very close to that execution price of 30.35. So we're going to really pay attention to see if she does come down to that 30.35 and how she's going to react to it, whether it's going to sit in the book for a while. And the longer that it sits in the book, we know that there is going to be an uptick because nobody wants to sell at that specific price point because they're expecting something bigger. So the longer that it sits in that order book, waiting to be executed, we know that there is going to be an uptick, and that's just really the pattern that I've been seeing. Now, if that 2,593 gets absorbed very quickly, in the sense that sellers are unloading on that buyer, then the price is going to dip. Nobody wants to hold; they're looking to get rid of it, and they found a big buyer to be able to purchase that. So they're going to be looking to unload possibly. So, we'll pay attention to that 30.35 and see exactly how she's going to react to the actual price point. But yeah, if it sits there, it's definitely a good sign. But if it doesn't sit there, yeah, we're going to see a major dip. That's a lot of coins that somebody could be sitting there on the sideline waiting to unload on them. And then a big seller at that resistance of $30.90, 2,981 coins. So we'll see exactly once she hits that 30.90. I think I'm going to be possibly looking to get rid of just a little bit to get rid of what I owe in margin, which is a little under $500. Because right now, really, I can't set any high limit sell orders, considering I do have a margin position open. GDAX will not allow me to set a sell order. So, one thing you guys got to be very careful about. Let's just say hypothetically, you're in a position just like I am with 310 Ethereums, and I want to sell those. Now, if I say, sell 310, I'm going to say a limit price, and I'm going to set a very high limit price because I don't want this thing to execute, but I will show you what it's going to do. So amount, let's just say, let's say $31 because it's not going to get up to $31, hopefully. And if it does, that's all right. Then I have basically a short position. But we'll say, we'll say the whole amount at $31. So basically, if I tell it to sell right now, indicating, thinking in my mind that, it's going to put in a very high sell order for the 310 that I have, that's really not what it's going to do. What it's going to do is put you in a short position. So it's allowing me to short. Actually, it's not going to allow me to short 310. It'll allow me to short, let's just say 300 at $31. Actually, let's just be a little safe. Let's say $32 in case we do get a crazy major uptick. So if I say sell order right now, what it's basically doing is it's basically putting me in a short position at $32. So it's not going to execute the 310 that I currently already have. What it's going to do is basically put me in a short position at $32 for 300 Ethereums. So you got to be very careful about that. So if you are, I'm going to cancel this, but if you are in a margin position and you're looking to close out that margin position, do not close it out the way that you would normally close out a position that you would have if you were not on margin. You have to actually click on this right here where it says close position. And when I click on close position, I have the ability to close out what I owe, which is $497.95. And that's all that it's going to execute at the market price. So I am going to pay commission to execute whatever coins it's going to take to get rid of that $497.95. Or I can tell it, you know what, I want you to close out everything. I want you to realize my profit or realize my loss, and I want you to close everything out. Once I hit close, it'll execute everything, the 310 at the market price. And if there isn't a buyer sitting there for 310, it's going to cause slippage. So really, in order for me to minimize the amount of commission that I pay, I'm just going to settle, well, I'm not going to do it now, but I would just settle the $497.95 that I owe on margin. And then the rest, I could go in and put in a limit sell order. And in order for me to do that, I have to close out. I have to disable margin. So that's very important because when I first really started doing this, my first margin that I was on, basically, I went to sell the 100 and it put me in a short position of 100. I was like, what is going on? I should have sold. But the system is just a little weird, a little more complicated to use. But they should allow you to say, you know what, I want to sell the 100 that I have, and it should not put me in a short position. But that's exactly what it's going to do. It's happened to me. So you want to be very careful at that. And I ended up getting lucky. When I basically told it to sell the 100 and put me in a short position, yeah, the price did drop of $1, so I was up $100, and I realized what was happening, and I went ahead and closed out the short position real quick before it had a crazy uptick, and it did have a crazy uptick. So I ended up making like 30, $35 out of it, which wasn't much. But I was a little confused as to why it put me in a short position. I couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, I told the system to sell the 100 that I had. I didn't say that I wanted to short 100. So you got to be careful and close out the position from the actual little under the depth chart where it says close position. So you got to be very careful of that. But, if this thing does run up to 31.90, $32, I might take a short position of a little bit. We'll see, maybe for a dollar profit per coin. But where's that big buyer? Still sitting at 30.35. And there aren't too many people jumping ahead of that person or the group of sellers or buyers. Nobody's really jumping ahead of them. So 30.35 right now. Let me hit refresh because it should be close to execution price. So there are people jumping in ahead of that 30.35 because they know it's a real wall. It's not a fake wall. It's so close to being executed that it is a real wall. And then we got another one at 30.32 for 3,075. That's very close to the execution price. So these are really good walls, and we should see a lot of people, and my order book is not really cooperating right now because it's not moving, but there should be a lot of people jumping in ahead of these buyers to get a better execution because they know that, once these really go through, and it all depends how they go through. Remember, I mentioned that, if they sit on the order book, then more likely we're going to have a nice uptick because nobody's looking to sell at that specific price. They're looking for something bigger. They're waiting for a bigger uptick. But if they do get absorbed very quickly and sellers unload to them, then yeah, we could see a nice drop. A nice drop to probably the next support line, which would be 30.32, and then 30.18, and then 30.15. I mean, we got 3,000, 2,500, 3,000, 2,200. That's a lot of coins that somebody's looking to buy. So these are definitely real walls. They're not so far away from the execution price that I would say, yeah, this could be a fake wall. And they're not moving either. So normally we would see them rapidly move up and down within the order book, and that's what was happening yesterday. And they're not moving at all today, so this is definitely a good sign. All right, 30.35 is in the order book now. Let's see what happens. And somebody's jumping in ahead of them. So 30.39 is the ask price that somebody's asking to sell their specific coins at, and then 30.37 is the bid price, and that's where the buyers are sitting to buy. So 30.36 is the actual price, 30.38 the buy price, 30.39 the sell price. So it looks like she might maintain these levels. Let's get a little granular and do a 5-minute chart. So she actually might maintain this level here, considering there are a couple buyers that are hopping in, not much. I mean, 0.08, 0.08, 0.05. But I'm curious to see exactly how she's going to react when she gets to that 30.35. But yeah, I can definitely see it maintaining this price. Let me get to the comments, and then we're definitely going to be paying attention to that 30.35. But nothing is rapidly moving within the order book, so that's definitely a good sign. So bots might have subsided, and or maybe they took them offline and kind of tweak them a little bit. All right, 20.35 on the bid side, 30.39 on the ask. So somebody's looking to sell a little below the actual price, not by much, by a penny. All right, so he's in the order book, 30.35. He's at the top, and nobody is selling either to that person or the group. And the longer that it sits in the order book, the better the uptick. Unless there's a big seller that's sitting on the sideline waiting to sell, and they're like, oh, there's a big buyer right at that price. I'm going to get rid of everything I have because I know it's going to be executed at that actual price and not have a slippage. Ethereum's having a little bit of a breakout. Yeah, I would like to see this thing get right up to 269. 269 is the prior resistance. before she came down to 250, I think it was. I can't even look at it on the one-day chart. We'll probably have to look at this on Crypto Watch, actually. But yeah, that's pretty good for it. 300 is definitely in sight, and I think I have the order to sell at 300. I do, yeah. It's been there for 7 days. So selling 300, selling 5 Ethereum at 300 price point, and then I'll have the other 15 left over. All right, nobody wanted to sell to that 30.35, which is definitely a positive sign. Because if somebody was on the sideline and they didn't believe in the price point currently right now, the price action, they would have unloaded on that person. So 30.35, let's see, should be up unless somebody's looking to pay a little more than the 30.35 for it. And there's definitely a lot of comments. So Dylan, if you're still on here, let me know if I missed a very good question, and I'll definitely try to answer it. But there's just so many comments. It's hard for me to keep an eye out on the comments and then try to pay attention to that 30.35 on how it's going to be executed. And I think I missed, let's see, 30.35. I did miss some of the execution, but it wasn't a lot. Maybe a total of 253, well, probably a total of 400 got executed at that price point. So, you know, I think it was, what, 2,500 at 30.35, and it looks like they might have dropped off. I appreciate you guys hitting that like button. And if you haven't hit that like button yet and you find this information helpful, please help us out by clicking on that like button. And it also help people find this this live stream a little better, the more likes that it does have. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please click on that subscribe button. You know, help us get up to that 1,000 subscriber count, which I never expected to be. I remember the first day that I remember the day that I got 100 subscribers. I was like, woohoo, this is great, awesome. But yeah, 982 subscribers. So not far, 18 away from that 1,000. So I do appreciate everybody that's subscribed, that's hit the post notification, that's clicked on the like button. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. All right, 30.32. 30.35 is still there. So there's somebody, you know, that's, if my order book is correct, so they're looking to pay at least 3 cents above the actual price, which is pretty good. As long as somebody's willing to pay a little more than the actual price, that's definitely some sort of a positive sign. But this is looking good. You know, the top 15 in the order book, that's just kind of my estimate. Let me see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, about 20. So the top 20 in the order book are looking pretty good. I mean, everything is, you know, 2,400, 150, 400, 3,000. So this is looking very good for hopefully to get up to that 30.90 and possibly 31. Depending on the sellers where they might be stacked up, you know, it could get up to that 32. But we do have a big seller coming in at $30.40 for 1,050. So this is the fight. You know, this is the fight between the bears and the bulls, trying to figure out what is the actual price point of Litecoin to have Litecoin establish its price point. And that's what happens every day, 24/7 with cryptocurrency. It's the battle, it's the fight to determine what is the right price for it. You know, so this person here is thinking, hey, you know what? I believe in the price to be 30.35, and that's what I'm willing to pay for it. And this person's like, no, I think the price is 30.36, and that's what I'm willing to sell it at. So eventually, you know, somebody comes in and says, you know what, you guys are fighting over a penny? Like, really? I'm just going to go ahead and pay 30.36 for it, and then that would cause the price to go up to 30.36. Or somebody might say, you know what, you guys are fighting over a penny. You know, I'm going to sell at 30.35. That's only a penny. And they could have been sitting on the sideline waiting to execute that. They might have 100. So all of theirs would be executed. All right, while Litecoin is doing its thing, let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum. And I'm going to take a look at Ethereum actually on Crypto Watch. There's that 269.36, which is going to be the resistance for it. If I can draw my resistance line. All right, that's what she's got to break, to get to all-time high. But 267.34, not too far off. And this volume bar is looking pretty good. There's a lot of buying that's going on, which is causing a massive spike in the candlestick. And really, there was the low was the opening price, and the high was the closing price. So there's really no wick at all, and that's just a beautiful candle, and that's exactly what we would like to see. And of course, the opening price is right at the previous candle's closing price, so that's definitely a positive sign, as long as the sellers don't step in and start unloading. But yeah, this is a pretty crazy price action. Nice dips, and you definitely want to wait for a nice dip, for a nice correction if you're looking to take a position, and not just be like, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and take a position here and then hope and wish that it goes up and it actually pulls back on you before it starts to run up again. And majority of the time, what's going to happen. If you buy at 267 and it dips down to 255, you might panic and sell, and then it gets right back up to where you bought it from. So we'll see if she starts breaking all-time high. And a lot of times too, if she comes up to that 29.69.36, and like I said, volume increases more on the buying side, she'll break out with a vengeance. And a lot of times she won't even look back, or she'll form a new support line right at that 269 or 270. But yeah, Litecoin, it's just pretty stagnant, to be honest with you. Pretty stagnant. Yeah, it's holding above 30 very well, which is good, but no crazy upward move. We need that. We need that crazy move to the upside. And of course, Bitcoin, it comes down and gets right back up. I didn't see this thing fall to 2,600, I think it was. What did it fall down to? 25.98, let's just say 2,600. Those are pretty significant gains. If anybody was like, I'm just going to buy one Bitcoin. I waited for the correction, and I got the correction from 28.85, or 28.85. We got to 25.98, 2,600. I'll go ahead and buy it there. And if that was something, a rule that you had for yourself, or a mental stop, that was a purchase price. That's $250 per coin, which isn't bad at all. It isn't bad. But let's see, where is she going to have a hard time? She's already kind of broken above this resistance here. And she's hugging that line, basically. That resistance there was 28.44.20. And she broke above it. So let's go ahead and put a line there, just so we can monitor this and see if she's going to stay above it and just kind of trend to the sideways. And if she does, it's a pretty healthy trend. The next area of resistance for this. But with Bitcoin, it could easily go up $75, go up 100 with no issues at all, and come back down $150. So to have a $100 drop is really insignificant for Bitcoin. Right around 28, let's just say 28.80. 28.80 is going to be the second, well, really the first, because consider she actually already broke through the first area of resistance. But she's trending. She's trending right at that line now. The next area is going to be right around the 28.80 that she has to break out above. But it's not too far from this all-time high. Less than $100, $80. So this thing could really rip up within a matter of 2-3 minutes. to really that all-time high of 29.38. It's easy for Bitcoin to get up 150, 200 bucks with no problems at all. The 28.80 is kind of the level where she could have an issue. And if she does break to 28.80, 29.90, yeah, the 2,900 is definitely in sight. And she could get right to that price point very quick. So right around 29.25, close to that 28.38. Because if we really look at the 28.38, broke out above it a little bit, came back down, and these are 15-minute candlesticks, and basically half an hour's worth. She hugged that line just a little below that 29.25 before really having a nice dip. But yeah, these are the type of dips you guys want to look for. This is a little minor panic selling. So you definitely want to look for these panic selling and take advantage of them. When people are panicking, that's really when you want to try to find a good entry point. But remember, these are for trading. This isn't for long-term investment, to be honest with you. I know I probably missed a lot of these comments, so I do apologize. All right, getting close to that all-time high. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with Ethereum, by Monday if this isn't at 300 bucks. Really to go up 40 bucks. I'm sorry, 30 bucks from 270. That's nothing for it. It could easily do it. And that's why I'm looking to lock in that profit at just that 300. I feel a lot more comfortable knowing that, I bought it at 177 and I sold, 5, out of the whatever I have left at 300. All right, 269, 269.36. Let's see if she has a hard time or if she breaks out of it with a vengeance. And that's why I like Crypto Watch. I mean, any charting system you guys use, make sure you're able to basically scroll to the left, scroll to the right, get very granular and be able to zoom in to the exact candlestick. That's the best thing to do. Let's take a look at the 1-minute candlestick. Yeah, I mean, this is perfect. I mean, where every candle has been opening up in comparison to the previous candle, especially on a nice uptick. I mean, this is exactly what you want to be looking for. And then, of course, she flatlined a little bit here, waiting for some sort of direction, and buyers came in and supported it and brought it right up. So 269.32, what was the high? 269.38, I think. 269.36 was a high. So it's almost right there. It's almost right there. And then I'm going to have to actually get out of this and look at the order book. All right, let's see. There was a big seller, but that got absorbed quickly. So 269.40, which is basically 2 cents, 3 cents above its all-time high. 920 Ethereums. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Big buyer coming in at 150 to support at 269.20. So that's a good amount of support there for it. But yeah, she's going to have a problem at 269.40. It's definitely going to run into some sort of roadblock. Unless the bots really come in and start buying up that 269.40, which I doubt they will, though. Quincy, good morning. Welcome. And let me try to scroll through some of these comments and try to answer some of them. I probably won't get to all of them, to be honest with you. All right, 269.40, 269.40. Let's refresh this and see, because he should be right up in the order book. He, she, or they. Yeah, the order book is not catching up to the actual price point. Yeah, it looks like people are hopping in, below the 269.40 to get rid of it because they know that that's going to cause, unless it gets absorbed very quickly. So 269.40, 269.39 is being executed. So people are basically clicking on that market sell because the market sell, if they are clicking on that, would execute at 269.39, and that's what we're seeing. Market buy at 269.40. Nobody wants to buy it from him. So somebody out there is believing that, you know what, the 269.40 is not worth it at all. I'm going to wait for a little bit of a dip to get in. Because if they really believed in this price action, this price movement, then they would have bought up that 781. Especially if somebody's looking to buy a good amount of coins instead of trying to buy it at 269.76 because that's really the next biggest seller. They would have bought it at 269.40 if they believed in this price point. But in my opinion, they don't believe in this price point at this current time right now. Litecoin still being held down, still not getting up to that 30.50, 30.90. Ona, you're a medic day trading at work. Nice, dude. Hopefully nobody's life is in line. Excuse me. All right, ETC 1735. Let's see what she does when she hits 1740. She might have a little bit of a hiccup, considering when she did pull back down to 1625, that 1740 was what it got back up to before really coming back down to 1668, 1670. So let's see. I don't know what volume is looking like. A little more on the selling side than the buying. 4,000 on the selling, 2,000 on the buying. But yeah, she's got to get back above the 18 and maintain that 18, for something to be very healthy. But I hope nobody bought this at the 18 or 1850 level, because then you guys I would have panicked, if it got down to 1625, 1650-ish, and I bought it at 1850. That's a $2 drop per coin. It's very significant. So 269.39, 269.40 is giving it a hard time because of the 552. And 552 is a lot. That's a lot. Normally I look at something over 1,000. So 269 is gone. Did that get executed? 269.40 did not get executed. He or she or they actually took it off the order book. And then, of course, a lot of basically sellers are going to basically trying to undercut the 269.40 and get out before that person gets out. And that's exactly what they're doing. And that's exactly what I would be doing. If I saw a big seller and it's not a fake wall, I would be like, you know what? I'm going to lock in my profit right here, right now, because this person could cause it to dip. And that's probably what's going to happen is that they're going to cause it to dip unless they decide to take that order off the book.
Oh, hi, Daddy. I ate all my raisins. Daddy. Leah, come back for you. Whoa.
Still a lot of buyers. A lot of buyers are stacking up on Litecoin. I just wish that the system would tell me exactly how many sellers or how many traders do we have at that specific price point, and that's something that this does not tell me at all. And that's why I kind of like Bitfinex, because it will indicate to me how many people are stacked up at that very specific price. And the more people that are stacked up at that price, it should throw a red flag. We're still sitting at 982 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please click on that subscribe button as well as the post notification. And also sign up for our mailing list. I mean, we are giving away a free general chat room. It's a chat room that you guys can keep the conversation going 24/7 from people from all over the world, and be able to bounce ideas off each other. So I highly recommend signing up for our mailing list and getting access to that general chat room. Yeah, 30.32, it looks like it's just going to flatline from here. Unless some of these people can start moving their orders up, you know, especially with these 2,500, 3,000, if they can move their orders up, and then that would basically cause some other people to say, hey, you know what, let me jump in ahead of line and get in before they get in. And that's really what causes a nice uptick, a nice move to the upside, is when people are piling in above a big buyer. But these aren't fake walls at all. These are not fake walls. So these are definitely real. And I wish, you know, we could see a fake wall and you can see it rapidly move up and down in the order book to try to manipulate the price. So if you guys are watching this, definitely, you know, keep an eye on that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually recommend two videos, or a couple of videos that I've done in the past. It was a while ago. And it's just basically, you know, the robo trading algorithm taking over GDAX. Let me find the title to it. And if I remember, I'll go ahead and try to put a link at the top of this video, probably right around in this price point here or this time frame here. But there are a couple of videos that I would highly recommend you guys watching. And they're going to be, let me see, robo algorithm bots infect GDAX platform, late night trading with CryptoTrader. I highly recommend watching those two videos. Those weren't live streams that I did. It was just basically me recording my screen. But they were not live streams because it was basically 2, 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning when this craziness was happening, and I decided to record it. And then the other one would be just basically how to be an efficient trader. Some of the things that I kind of follow, some of the rules that I try not to break. I do break my rules sometimes, but I do my best to try not to break them. And that video should be titled How to Be an Efficient Trader, or How to Become an Efficient Cryptocurrency Trader. And that was about 4 months ago. So I'll put a link up to 3 of those videos, but I highly recommend watching those 3 videos, especially when the bots started taking over GDAX. And that was really the first time that we saw the bots taking over GDAX. And Logan was there with me as we were really watching it. And they really hadn't taken over anything else. And then slowly but surely, you know, we started seeing them on Gemini and started seeing them on Bittrex. I didn't see them too much on Poloniex, though. Now, could that be the exchanges doing that? Possibly. Yeah, the exchanges, you know, could be setting up their own bot, you know, to capitalize off these price action movements. That's definitely a possibility. But, you know, any of us, you know, as long as you have the money, you have the ability to purchase the software and program your own bot to be able to trade for you. Actually, I got an email from a guy asking me, you know, how he should set the specs on his bot. And I was like, I can't help you with that. You know, I don't deal in robo algorithm trading. I couldn't tell you what percentage to set the buy limit and the sell limit. And I was like, that's beyond my league. But yeah, those are videos that I would highly recommend, and I'll try to put up the link. How do you sign up for the email? So click on the bottom of this video. There is a link for the website, and I don't think it's a hyperlink, unfortunately. But you can just go to CryptoTradersRoom.com. You'll be able to sign up for our mailing list there. And then once you sign up for our mailing list, I think Dylan is handling sending out the invitation, or it might automatically even send the invitation out to you. I'll have to talk to Dylan. But yeah, that's the best way of getting signed up for our mailing list. So yeah, click on that link or just type in www.cryptotradersroom.com and answer a couple questions, and then you should get the invite. And you'll have the access to basically the general chat room as well as the water cooler chat room. Now, there are a couple other chat rooms that we have on there that are very specific to some of the traders, where they can actually, you know, talk about technical indicators and fundamental indicators as well too. But that is a completely separate chat room. But at least, you know, we're giving you access to our free general chat room as well as the water cooler chat room. All right, so not much of a price action, $30.20. So it is getting a little bit of a drop. You know, a lot of these buyers are not really moving their orders up, but that 30.18 is going to have a very good support of 2,500 coins at that specific price level. 26.91. All right, so let's take a look at, let's get back to Ethereum, because Ethereum is breaking all-time highs right now. And let's see, she breaking it out pretty good. We'll see, not too bad. The candlestick hasn't really completed yet. But let's go ahead and get a little more granular, maybe to the 5 minutes, maybe to the 3 minute. And then let's take a look at the order book as well too, and see if she's going to have more of an upside move. All right, two buyers, one buyer and one seller kind of battling it out over a penny. Oh, he just fell off. All right, so there was a big buyer or a big seller sitting there, and he took that order off. And as soon as he took that order off, we did see a nice spike in the candlestick. But a buyer at 190 Ethereum's at 269.99, and that should basically get executed pretty soon. I mean, for this thing to drop 40 cents to $1 and then get right back up, that's nothing for it. But not too many sellers, which is good until we get to 27. Actually, they're all being executed. Look at this drop in. This is perfect. So buyers are buying up. They just bought up a lot of things to get it to 27.88 almost. So 27.80 for 1,000. That's going to be a nice little barrier for it. If people don't hop in and try to undercut that, 1,000 seller. But bots are in play. 0.05, 0.05, 0.05, 0.05, 0.05. Bots are definitely in play currently at the moment on the sell side. The buy side, yeah, they're there on the buy side as well too. Not as bad though. And this is how you know that they're bots, and they're just basically trying to trick us. Where in the past, all the orders were the same, but here we got 0.01, 01, 08, 0.01, 01, 09. I mean, they're just basically changing up just a little fraction. 0.010016, 0.010016. There's a couple of those. 0.010256, 0.010256. Those are the same orders. So bots are basically trying to infiltrate Ethereum. So there's a couple of those 0.010256. So bots are back in play. Jonathan, welcome, bud. Made 69% this week on NXT. That is sweet. I love hearing about the gains you guys are making. That's awesome. You think NXT is going up next? Let's take a look. Rocky just signed up for the newsletter. Sweet, buddy. Thank you for signing up. And yeah, you should definitely get the access to the chat room soon. And just make sure, when you're signing up for our mailing list, make sure you type out your email address correctly. Because I had somebody say, hey, I signed up and I never received the invite, and they just happened to put down the wrong email address. So it's just a little bit of a typo that they had on that email address.
Drink some more of your water. Okay, Mom.
All right, where's NXT? Wow, it's up to 10 cents, almost 11 cents. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't long ago that was at 3 cents. Man, that's a pretty nice run from 3 cents to, I think it did tap out at 11 cents, 11.31, tapped out. Yeah, with some of these coins, man, if you can get in early and find a very good entry. Now, if you chased it, and got in right up here at 0.0843, yeah, you're still in the profit, but the profit is not that high. In comparison, if you got in, where there might have been a very good support, and that good support would have been right around the 0.0412, 0.04, possibly 3. But yeah, if you've got this at 0.04 to 0.11, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, bots are all over the place now. Rocky Mountain High, they're all over the place. I mean, when I started doing these videos, the first day that we spotted them, it was only GDAX, and I was like, huh, this is interesting. I was like, it's only a matter of time before they actually, start jumping off to different exchanges. So NXT is another platform ICOs are built on. That's pretty good to know. That is pretty good to know. And I think, you know, with any of the cryptocurrencies, if there is a platform, you know, if ICOs are being built on that platform, then yeah, they'll do well. I mean, look at Ethereum. I mean, you know, there's so many applications that are being built on the Ethereum network. All right, let's pay attention to Ethereum or Litecoin, because Litecoin is dipping below 30, and my order book is really not cooperating or catching up to the actual price action. All right, 30.02 is really the only support. So a lot of these orders that were pretty high probably fell off. You know, they weren't confident in the price action. But let's see, at $30, yeah, we did have 1,000 executed, 660 executed. So hopefully these guys don't panic. Whoever bought it at 30 bucks. I mean, that's 1660. You know, more than 1660 at that $30 price point. So somebody was definitely sitting on the sideline waiting to unload. But yeah, she's giving back majority of the uptick that she had. To 270.87 for Ethereum. 271, there's a buyer supporting it. Nice. Yeah, I can see 300 bucks in sight by Monday. You know, if not tomorrow, to be honest with you, or midnight, 11:30, 11:45. That's like, you know, when some of the action has been happening. If I really look at the chart, you know, 11:30, 11:45, 12 o'clock, you know, there will be some sort of action, either to take it to the upside or to drop it down low. All right, guys, I got about you know, I'll stay on this for 5 more minutes, and then I do have to get going. But if you have any questions, I'll try to get to those questions as best as I can. So let me know. And then also leave a comment. If you do have additional questions, once this video is uploaded, please leave a comment. Especially, you know, if you've gotten some great tips and tricks on trading and you were able to benefit from that, you know, leave that on the comment once the video is uploaded as a testimonial. Because when other people are watching this video, you know, I definitely want them to read about some of the ways that you were able to benefit from this live stream. And if you leave those in the comment section, that will definitely help me out. It'll help out the person that's you know, watching the live or watching the video for the first time, and it might actually encourage them to join this live stream. So I highly recommend that. You know, if you learned some great tips and tricks and you were able to profit off those tips and tricks that I recommended, please do so by helping me out and just leaving that comment. 24/5? No, it's more like 24/7. New Visions, 24/7 trading. I mean, the Forex market is 24/7. The Forex market never sleeps. I mean, currency changes every, what, 15 minutes, the price of currency. But yeah, in the cryptocurrency market, it's 24/7. It never sleeps. There's no holiday. There's no time for a holiday at all. Yeah, that's a scary thing about cryptocurrency, considering it's 24/7, you know, and if you have open position and you're sleeping, you know, something major happens in China when everybody's sleeping. I think China's what, about 13-hour difference, you know, from where I am. It could be different from where you are, but yeah, a lot could happen at night when you're sleeping. It never stops. Yeah, it doesn't even take like a Christmas holiday or Thanksgiving holiday. Unless something major happens, you know, where all exchanges are being hacked and we can't trade, that's the only time trading will stop. But then I'm assuming that some of the exchanges, you know, have a way of trading, you know, when they stop trading for all their customers, like Polonius normally does. But yeah, that's a surprise move though on NXT. No breaks, just moon missions. Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if it was just all moon missions, but, you know, we're going to have corrections. You know, either it's going to correct to the upside after it drops, or it's going to correct to the downside after it runs up. It's going to have these up and down swings, and you just got to be able to have a strong hand and be able to stomach these swings, especially if it's something that you believe in and something that, you know, you think has the potential to go up a lot higher. But yeah, if you got into some of these cryptocurrencies at the bare bottom, yeah, you could withstand these up and down swings because you're still in the profit. Yeah, the profit might be dwindling just a little bit, but you're still in the profit. You got XCP. What is XCP? Or you mean XRP? Yeah, Ripple has not really done much, to be honest with you. I mean, I have a low ball buy offer at 18 cents, and that 18 cents offer has been there for, how long has it been there? For a couple of days now, 5 days. But I don't really see it getting to that level. And if it does, that's great. It'll execute. But I don't really see it getting to that level. But it's just basically been hovering between the 27 and 28 cents. And that's all it's done. I mean, even with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, having somewhat of a correction, it didn't phase Ripple at all for some apparent reason. Someone has to hold the bags. Yeah, as long as it's none of us. I don't want you guys to be holding the bag, especially on a big drop. But yeah, somebody does have to hold the bag. And something that a lot of people don't really think about, excuse me, is that when you're selling at when you're buying, at a bottom price, somebody's selling, and either they're selling at a loss or they're selling at a profit. More than likely, they might be selling at a loss. It might be a panic sell. So these panic dips that happen, people are actually losing profit or losing capital, and they're going to unload. They're going to sell, and you're there to pick up, their weak hands. But yeah, but if you're buying at the top, more than likely you're buying from somebody that's already in the profit, and they're happy with those profits, and they're like, I'm gonna let it go. And then you're either gonna be in the profit or you're gonna be in the hole because you're buying at the top. This shit is crazy, right, Jonathan? Yeah. Yeah. Jonathan, you got to know that risk reward. I think we talked about that before. Risk reward. For you to throw a good amount of money into it, make sure the reward outweighs the risk. But to double it on $200, that's perfect. That is perfect. I mean, you're going to grow that account, and you're going to grow it pretty nice by being consistent with your trades. Keep in mind, we're still bubbly, huh? Still bullish as hell, heck. You won't be praising Bitcoin when we go through a bear market. Yeah, and I think, my speculation is that, my theory on a smaller time frame hasn't been correct. But I think on a larger time frame, I think the correction is coming. But on a smaller time frame, it kind of contradicts what I'm thinking is going to happen. It's contradicting that we're in a bubble on a smaller time frame. But if you really look at it on a larger time frame, it's like, oh, look at these crazy dips that we're seeing. Could this be an indication of more of a bigger dip to happen? But yeah, it's scary. It is really scary. Counterparty, yeah. You know what, man? I've looked at Counterparty a while ago, and I was like, man, this looks pretty good. And yeah, this definitely has surprised me. But yeah, Counterparty is not on Bittrex, and I guess that's why I wasn't able to find it. But it is on Poloniex. Yeah, and if you guys, if you guys are already part of our general chat room and you hear of information, Stefan, this is great info to know that Counterparty can create tokens on BTC Network. I guess you've created too. More news soon. But yeah, any of this information, and if you're already on our general Slack, please share that information so that everybody can get that information as well too. 500% in the past 2 months, dude, that's impressive. That is impressive. So hopefully those are realized profits and not unrealized profits, because when they're unrealized, really anything could happen. Only I like that comment. He says, man, it's all good. We will all make it to the moon, and CryptoTrader's room will upgrade to a fucking moon castle. Laughing out loud. Yes. Yeah, only time will tell. Only time will tell. And considering, this is basically, it's a new market. It really is a new market. Yeah, Bitcoin's 8 years old. But the overall cryptocurrency market, is not that old. It's still a baby. So we are at the forefront of this, revolutionary change. That's going to really change everything. So I'm very excited to be, getting involved at an early age. Well, not early age in the sense of my age, but age in the sense of how old this whole market is. So I think, we're really positioning ourselves for a brighter future. Yes, yeah, indeed. I don't look at the fundamentals too much. It's all technical for me, but you know, your favorite altcoins that you're following, your top 10, whatever it might be. Yeah, definitely know the ins and outs, the fundamentals. You know, I don't really care about the fundamentals of some of these cryptocurrencies, but, you know, the popular ones, the top 10, you know, I do look at the fundamentals of the cryptocurrencies. And you know, if you guys go to CoinMarketCap, I mean, there's just so much information that you can find on CoinMarketCap. So let's just say, hypothetically, I don't know, we'll pick, what's the 20th? Rep. We'll pick on Rep for a second. But there's a bunch of, I mean, you can go on their website, you can go on Explorer, you can check out their social media site. That's the best way of getting really a lot of that information and be able to just sit there and kind of decipher some of that information that's out there. But yeah, you can look at the markets and see exactly, you know, what markets are they traded on, with what are they paired with, their social media sites, you know, anything that's being posted. So there's a lot of information that cryptocurrency market cap will actually provide you. But yeah, definitely know the fundamentals of some of the coins, especially the ones that you follow, the ones that you really believe in. I wouldn't believe in all of them. You know, a lot of them are just hypes, pump and dumps. Let's see, Bob, if I can understand your question. What happens if you keep buying whole units of a crypto at different prices, then sending them to the same wallet with the overall unit quantity change dependent on the price paid? No, the overall quantity will not change. But, you know, if you multiply that with the price of Bitcoin is, then yeah, your price will fluctuate. I mean, if you're buying something, let's just say you buy one BTC I'm just making up these numbers. One BTC at $2,000, and then it drops to 1,000, and you buy one more. Your average price is basically 1,500 because you bought one at 2,000, you bought another one at 1,000. That's three total of basically, you know, $3,000 that you spent. Divide that by 2 is 1,500. So you're lowering your cost average. You know, if you're buying something at 2,000 and then buying the same amount at 1,000, I would recommend buying a little more at 1,000, so you actually lower that cost average below 1,500. But that's basically what you're doing. You know, if you're buying one whole unit and then it drops, you buy another whole unit, you're lowering your cost average. But the actual unit of how much you bought does not change at all. It only changes the volume. I'm sorry, it only changes the value of that cryptocurrency. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with pump and dumps. There's really nothing wrong with that. It's a great opportunity to make money, Oni. Great opportunity. Pump and dumps are great if you're able to catch them right before the pump, or at least, like, you know, a quarter or a tenth way into the pump. Yeah, and there's a lot of opportunities with these cryptocurrencies, you know, that are just being pumped. Yeah, you're right. I mean, you could easily gain 80 to 150% easily. I'm going to get to a couple of these comments, and then I do have to end this live stream. I do have to get going. But Ethereum 240 hitting a high of 274.29. That is impressive. I'm liking this quick possibly move to the $300 range. CoinGecko. I'm going to have to write that down. I have not heard of that yet. I will definitely research that. Thank you so much, Stefan, for sharing that information with us. Awesome, Dylan. Thank you so much. So anybody that signed up for our mailing list, you definitely should be getting the chat invite. Dylan just sent out a bunch of chat invites. Yeah, you know, for anything that's long-term hold, you know, you're not looking for, you know, for a 5–10% gain. Yeah, I mean, analyzing the social media, analyzing really as much as you can about it. You know, knowing the ins and outs for a long-term hold is very beneficial. But yeah, but you know, with some of these cryptocurrencies, if you're just looking for a 5–10% gain and you see it pumping, I mean, there's really no sense of spending that time and energy researching something. But you know, your favorite altcoins, you know, the 10 that you follow, whatever it might be, or the 5 that you follow obsessively, yeah, definitely know the ins and outs of them.
Lights off. Lights off.
You got into Ethereum at 11 and then again at 55. That is sweet. Yeah, if you look at my Ethereum trades, you're going to be like, man, you bought a lot of Ethereum. I mean, I was trading that left and right. You know, made profits. Yeah, the profits could have been a lot more if I held on to it. But who knew? I mean, who knew that it was going to get up to $272? A while back, I told my brother, because I basically got him set up with Coinbase, and I said, just put money in there. Put the $1,000 in there that you're talking about, and let it sit there. And then, when something does happen, you're prepared to buy something. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna put $1,000 on Ethereum," and Ethereum at that time was $10. And so he was gonna buy 100 Ethereums, and I was like, "Yeah, dude, do it." I'm like, "You're looking for a long-term hold." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, if you have that money, you don't need it. Yeah, put it into Ethereum. Why not?" And he never did. And then one day he asked me, said, "Hey, what's the price of Ethereum?" And I was like, "You really want to know?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do." And I was like, "It broke 100." He was like, "It broke 100? Like I could have made, basically 1,000% profit." I'm like, "Yeah, you could have made 1,000% profit if you actually were determined and put that $1,000 into Ethereum at that price point." But since he didn't, and then he actually called me the other day and said, "Is Ethereum really above 250?" And I said, "Yeah, it's above 250." And I hope you guys heard that, because I might have been on mute the whole time. So let me know if you guys heard the last thing that I talked about with my brother. All right. Sorry about that. I had to mute that real quick. My wife is asking me a question.
Whoa. Come here, babe. You can go.
Okay, Stefan, you were saying CoinGecko does it for you. That's sweet. That's good to know. I'll definitely have to research that. Okay, so you guys heard me good. Because, yeah, I went to mute my microphone and then realized, oh, I just unmuted it. So, but that wasn't the case. But yeah, so my brother could have really made a lot of money. He could have really turned that, $1,000, and let's just say, what, finally cashed out at $250. I mean, that's 25,000 that he could have made if he would have actually stuck to the plan of what he told me he was going to do. And that's why I kind of set him up with that account. He said he had an extra $1,000, and he's like, I'll put it into Ethereum. I'm like, yeah, do it. I'm like, it doesn't hurt. You're looking for a long-term investment, long-term hold. But yeah, so every time he kind of comes over to talk to me, I was like, do you want to know the price of Ethereum? He's like, no. He's like, don't tell me. Because he's like, I never got in. So, once this thing really hits 300, he's going to be basically kicking himself and then like, I could have made $30,000 within a matter of 5 months. But yeah, it definitely pays a hold. It definitely does. And I think, a while back when, my strategy was different. My strategy was to buy and sell, and then sell all of it. Now that strategy has definitely changed, because I see how the cryptocurrency market is functioning. Is that really it is on an up. It is going up, and that I am leaving tons of money on the table. I mean, I was buying Ethereum at $18 and selling it at 21, and buying it at 27 and selling it at 30. But yeah, I mean, I wish I would have just every time I bought, kind of put 5 away and put them away on a hardware wallet. Like every time I would buy, take a little fraction of it and put it away for long term. But yeah, it's just a kind of lesson learned, not knowing what it was going to do. But yeah, it's just it's a crazy move that Ethereum is making. And Ethereum Classic should be following suit. It should be following suit. There's really no reason that she's stuck in the $17 range. She should be really hovering in that $25 range. Should. And that's always the magic word, should be. Yeah, you can't live in the past, man. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That's G87, welcome. Unfortunately, you came in on a little too late. So I'll stay on until 12 o'clock. I know this was supposed to end at 11:30, but I'll stay on for the next 11 minutes in case something crazy does happen, and just to be able to answer some of the questions for you guys as well, too. Man, NXT is just, let me take a look and see what was the previous high that it had basically set. Yeah, because if this was a previous high, I mean, it blew through it. It blew through the 8 cents, and that was on May 25th. Definitely an impressive chart. Definitely is an impressive chart. But yeah, but if I was looking at getting into this, I would probably be looking at this level here, 8.5 cents, something to that extent. That's really where 1, 2, 3 times that it was basically a major resistance for it. Actually, no, 5 times, because it was a major resistance right up here as well too, before pulling back and then getting a running start to the upside to hit almost 11.3 cents. That's huge. That is huge. You're almost in the same boat as my brother. Yeah, man. And he even said to me, he's like, Ethereum is at $10. He's like, why have you not bought Ethereum yet? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'm waiting for it to pull back to $8. And of course, that $8 never came. I mean, when I was looking at Ethereum, was a couple of days before Christmas. It was like $7.05, and I was like, the low is $5. I'll wait till 6. 6 looks like a very good support line, and it never made it down. It never did. It was just nothing but uphill from there. Only we use, if Dylan hasn't answered your question yet, but we use Slack. That's the platform that we're on for the chat. Travis, welcome. So let's see. You finally have almost a half a Bitcoin now, and slowly building it by lending it on Poloniex. Sweet, man. So really, there's not much of a risk to you by lending it out. And I don't know what you started out with, but you had to have a half a Bitcoin. That's pretty good. Let's see. Ex-girlfriend had lots of savings. I told her to get some BTC at 600. Now she's asking me to teach her. This has been the case with a lot of people. It's like, if you're into the current cryptocurrency and you talk to them about, BTC, or you talk to them about cryptocurrency, and, you're talking to them in January when everything was just kind of cheap. They're like, yeah, whatever. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, within the past 2 weeks, everybody's calling you and be like, hey, what's going on? Should I get in now? It's like, what? Dude, you should have got in 5 months ago when we talked about it. Like, now you're calling me at the top, at the high, and asking me if I should get in. That's the wrong question to be asking at the high. And I mean, mass media covering, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and that's causing a lot of people to kind of get interested in it. And that's what's causing that that uptick, the FOMO tick. Yeah, Stefan, ask her to join the live stream. Yeah, send her a link to the live stream. Let's see, it was supposed to be a house deposit. Could have paid cash for a house now. Yeah. Yeah, man, that's the way I look at it. I mean, I'm getting ready to buy a house, and it's like, if I would have bought Ethereum, back in January, yeah, I would be paying cash for the house and not be getting the banks involved. Do any of the exchanges offer demo trading? Not that I know of as of yet. No, they don't. I mean, there's a couple in the stock market that offer demo trading, and they'll give you like $100,000 of play money, fake money. But that could be a little misleading, to be honest with you, because a lot of times you're like, oh, I have $100,000 of fake money. I'm going to go ahead and use all of that. Well, you got to be realistic with that $100,000, because you don't really have physically $100,000 to start out with. So the $100,000 they give you, you might just say, you know what, I'll just use 5,000 of it, because that's a little more realistic to possibly what I could start out with and see what I could do with this. But yeah, some people are just, using the whole $100,000 of play money and putting it into things, and they see things going up, and they're like, whoa, I just made $60,000, $70,000 off that 100. It's not really being realistic, because that's not where you're going to be starting out with. So if that is the case, just take the $100,000 and say, you know what, I'm only going to trade with $2,000 of it, because that's a little more realistic of what I have, and see exactly what you can do with that. That's just a great way to learn. Let's see, Oni saying Mount Gox, I'm assuming, right? Or GDAX, because you spelled it G-O-X. Took me for what would be 27 million. Huh. It ain't worth to miss what could have been, but never was. Life is beautiful. So, and I'm trying to understand that comment. So, they took you for what would be 27 million. So that would have been 27 million you would have made, I'm assuming, right? Because in actuality, I mean, if you would have taken, I don't know what, 20 bucks, $100, when Bitcoin first came out and put it in and just let it sit, that would be probably like close to 10 million by now. Yes, Stefan, the future is now. And I'm glad that you're able to learn from some of the things that I have. And I'm learning a lot from you guys. So I definitely want to thank you guys for sharing your knowledge, for sharing your expertise on some of these coins. And I do appreciate that. So I'm learning a lot from you guys. And thank you so much for that. And I'm hoping that, by me doing these live streams, you're able to pick up on some things as well, too. Yes, Ethereum is looking strong. Ethereum is definitely looking strong. And XT is also looking strong. There's a couple of cryptocurrencies that are very strong. Yeah, people always get interested after the pump, and that's usually what happens. And if you're interested into it after the pump, Joseph, yeah, you're too late to the game. You're too late to the game. And welcome to the live stream, by the way, too. But yeah, a lot of times when things are pumped up, and I've had people say, "Hey, you know what? This is moving. It's too late. It's too late for me to even get in. It's not worth it, unless I'm really looking at it and it's being pumped up, and then it pulls back." And then, my speculation would be that, buyers are going to support this little mini dump, this little mini correction, and then I might get into it. But, if it's already being pumped and pumped and pumped, yeah, you're too late to the game. Then you're just asking to take a loss. But yeah, it's kind of hard to pick out some of these pumps unless you're part of a group, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build a community with a bunch of traders that are like-minded, that are able to look at different things. And I mean, 10, 15 of us could really analyze Bittrex on all the cryptocurrencies and say, hey, you know what? Let's take a look at these 10 cryptocurrencies, because these 10 have been pumped in the past and now it's bottomed out. And every time it pumps and bottoms out, it pumps again and bottoms out. And those are the type of alerts that I would love to hear about and love to see. So, if 15, 20 of us can collectively look at Bittrex, and all of us can start looking at the different cryptocurrencies and analyzing the chart on the 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minutes, whatever it is, an hour chart, on a daily chart, and find that, a handful of them that are flatlining, that's a perfect opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I got $1,000. I'm going to put $100 into each of these cryptocurrencies that have flatlined. But for one person to kind of have to look at every single thing, it's too much. But having a community to be able to look at the same exact things that everybody's looking at and informing everyone about it, we can find these cryptocurrencies that have bottomed out. I mean, they might be a little bit of a long-term hold, but they have bottomed out, and you are able to get into them at the bottom and not be able to try to chase them when they're already pumped. So that's a goal of CryptoTraders Room, is to get like-minded people together that are looking at different cryptocurrencies and be able to inform, the members of, if they find a good pattern, if they find something that has completely leveled out. No, I have not looked at XSPEC. I will definitely take a look at that. Probably not now, though, to be honest with you, considering I only have 2 more minutes left on this live stream. But I'm going to put that down. And then on Monday's live stream, if you're on, please remind me. I will definitely take a look at that. But I will jot that down for right now. And Cryptopedia, I've never really heard of Cryptopedia, but I will have to take a look at that. Let's see. Travis is saying, started with XRP, Ripple, and it blew up the little bit of BTC I had that you had bought. And now just buying a little every paycheck. Now, when you say blew up, blew up in the good way or bad way? I mean, did it go up and it blew up, or did it really blow up and come crashing down? So I don't know if you bought at the high of 40 cents, 42 cents before it came crashing back down, or if you really got in, at a bottom good price before it had a nice crazy uptick to 42 cents. Yeah, that's pretty good, Oni. Basically, Oni stating, my best friend won't take the time to learn the game. It's like Satoshi said, if you don't believe me or don't get it, I don't have time to try to convince you. Yeah, I mean, there has to be a passion. There has to be a thirst. for that type of knowledge, to want to learn it. Some people are just not interested. You can talk to them about it. That's all you can really do. Really, they have to take the initiative to say, hey, you know what? I think this is a great idea, and let me learn a little bit more. So really, it's on them. Just like my brother. I talked about cryptocurrency to him, try to get him involved, helped him set up a Coinbase account using my link, but he never funded it. And he even said, hey, I'm going to put $1,000 on Ethereum at $10. And I was like, do it. But yeah, he's got to really, he, she, or they have to be willing to take that initiative and go beyond what it is that you talked about. And execute on what it is that they want to do. But yeah, unless they do that, yeah, there's not much that you can do. That's the second time that happened. 12 million. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's discouraging, right? You're just like, dude, I could have made all that money. But yeah, this is an opportunity, and I think this is a great opportunity for us to really find these coins that have a great development team, that have a great future outlook, and that have basically bottom from being pumped. It's an opportunity, and if I can find those, I mean, I would have no issues at all throwing, $2,000 or $3,000 at it. So there's a demo at Crypto. There you go. Thank you so much, Stefan, for sharing that. I appreciate it. And this is the type of information that I'd love to hear about. So I don't know who was asking about that, but yeah, you can definitely go to Crypto Compare and be able to do that. Or yeah, Blockfolio. I can't believe I forgot about Blockfolio. Somebody did mention that a couple of days ago on a live stream. Fat as thumbs on this tiny phone. Yeah, one thing you guys got to be careful too is not considering, Oni just mentioned fat as thumb, is not to have fat fingers when you're trading. There's a couple times where I made a mistake, and I'm glad the system actually corrected it, where, I went to put in, and actually it was when I was buying Ethereum at 177. I put in 1,750. Actually, it was 1,777 accidentally because I had fat fingers. Well, I don't really have fat fingers, but just when I was typing, I wasn't paying attention, and I hit submit, and the system said, no, your price is 10% over the actual price, and they wouldn't allow me to do it. And I'm like, ooh, thank goodness, because that would have caused, I mean, I wouldn't have bought at that high price, but I would have been buying at whatever high price that somebody was asking to sell their coins at. So basically, before you hit that submit button to buy, make sure you verify how much you're buying and what price point you're buying it at. That's very important. Rocky Mountain High, dude, I appreciate you joining. Thank you so much. And thank you for appreciating this channel. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think Ripple's a very sketchy fundamental, considering a lot of the coins were pre-mined. I think one of the development guys that left has like 20 billion of the coins. When is he going to flood the market with them? It's scary. It is scary. Thank you, Oni. I appreciate that comment, man. How you love this channel and this community. Yeah, this is a great community that we're building, and it's a community that is growing. And it's only going to get better as time goes on. Travis, go to CryptoTradersRoom.com. There's a little questionnaire that you got to answer. And then once you hit submit, Dylan will be sending you an invite to our general chat room. And it's just a great community. It's a great place to kind of keep a conversation going about cryptocurrency. And I mean, the chat room is 24/7. There's people from all over the world. So you shouldn't have a hard time finding somebody in that chat room, talking about cryptocurrencies and really bouncing ideas off each other. Oni, it's funny that you mentioned that. It is funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, it's been talked about. It's been talked about. It's in the works. But yeah, I really won't go into details about it now. But I do have business partners in Crypto Traders Room. Dylan is my business partner. He's the web development and hosting guy. Henry is the marketing guy. I don't think Henry's on right now, or Henrich. I used to call him Henrich, but it's really pronounced Henry. It's spelled HENRIJ. So you'll see him on this live stream occasionally here and there. And then ECS, you'll see ECS as well too. He's a business development and strategic planner for Crypto Traders Room. So I mean, I got a great team, and this is a dream team that I was looking for to be able to help me kind of scale Crypto Traders Room into something bigger and better. And it's getting there. It takes time with any business, but it's getting there, and the community is growing. Yeah, so I mean, there are links at the bottom of this video. So there's a link to our website. I don't think the link actually works in the sense that clicking on it, but you can go to www.cryptotradersroom.com and then connect with us on Steemit, Twitter, Facebook. This video, when it gets uploaded to YouTube, I do put it on Steemit. So if you have a Steemit account, help us get the word out, upvote it if you can, and that would help out Crypto Traders Room. Let's see. Fez is saying you're the Gollum and List guy, and now predict Gridiron Research. Man, and Gridiron Research kind of. I mean, I bought Gridiron at 800 satoshis a while ago, and sold it at 900 satoshis. But yeah, what did I? Only if I knew what it was going to do. But that was when I was buying and selling everything. I wasn't holding any of the coins. And now, I kind of changed my strategy a little bit, where I'm selling in increments, and locking in a higher profit by selling in increments instead of selling everything at once. Travis, you bought at 6 cents and sold at 34. Dude, that is sweet. That is sweet, man. That's what I love to hear. I mean, that's a huge profit. That's huge. And 34 cents is great, because it hasn't really seen 34 cents, especially on Bitfinex. It hasn't seen 34 cents yet after it was listed. Yeah, it blew up in a good way. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that terminology I'm used to in the stock market, where people blow up their account, and when they blow up their account, they're not blowing it up in the right way. I mean, they're losing everything. So if somebody says, "Hey, I blew up my account," it means they lost everything. So that's kind of what I was thinking you did. But thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, you blew it up in the right way. You blew it up to the upside. Yeah, I'll have to research Lisk and Wall Street and see exactly what's going on. Yeah, Wall Street likes to pump things. I've actually lost all faith in Wall Street, and I'm glad I got out in January out of Wall Street, and haven't looked back ever since then. I mean, I'll look at the Dow and the Nasdaq and see what they're doing, but I stopped following stocks that I would normally follow. A lot of them are just basically being manipulated by the CEOs, the management of the company, or they're being manipulated by fund managers and things like that, and it's crazy. Yeah, I've looked at the monthly Gridiron chart, and yeah, I was a little discouraged knowing that I took a profit, and it wasn't a bad profit, from 800 satoshis to 900 satoshis, and I didn't really expect it to start really blowing up to past 2,000, but it did. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for joining. It is 12:07, and this live stream was supposed to end at 11:30. But as long as you guys have questions, I don't mind answering them. But if you haven't done so already, please click on that subscribe button as well as the post notification. We are very close to getting to 1,000 subscribers, and that was kind of the magic number that I was kind of looking for. But if you haven't done so already, click on that post notification so that you're notified every time a video is uploaded. And anytime I schedule these kind of spur of the moment live stream, of course today wasn't spur of the moment, considering I do these live streams on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But I did do one on Tuesday, and that was kind of spur of the moment thing because there was action that was happening. So if you hadn't clicked on the post notification, you probably would not have been informed that there was a live stream going on. And then sign up for that mailing list, get that free access to that general chat room. It's a great community that's building and that's just growing every single day. I know Jonathan's on there, and he shares some great information. So, become a regular. That's something I would highly recommend. And don't be discouraged if there's nobody in that chat room that's chatting. We all have things going on in our personal life and in our life in general. So there might not be a time that, we're all on there, but, there'll at least be one or two people chatting away, depending on, what country they're from and what time zone it is in their country. But also, stay connected with us on Steemit, Twitter, as well as Facebook. And like I said, if you guys haven't done so, please click on that subscribe button. I can see us hitting 1,000 by this weekend. So we'll see, if we hit 1,000 first, or if Ethereum is going to be hitting 300 first. But I firmly believe that by Monday, Ethereum will be at $300, especially with this type of upward correction that it's having. Now, if Bitcoin takes a dump, yeah, it's going to take a dump with it, but that $300 is definitely in sight, and I think she can get there. She can get there easily. I don't think there isn't anything that's stopping it. There is no resistance that it has. The only thing that's really going to stop Ethereum from hitting 300 is if Bitcoin starts to really fall. And that's the only thing that's going to prevent it. But it's 277 right now. I bought this at 177. So for it to only really be $23 away, less than $23 away from its, $300 price point that I'm looking at to sell at least 5. It's not that far. It's not that far, and it can get there very easily. So, but I definitely want to thank you guys for joining. I do appreciate it. You guys definitely motivate me to keep doing these videos on a regular basis. Thank you to everybody that's clicked the like button, the thumbs up. That definitely helps for other people that are interested in the cryptocurrency market to find this live stream, and I hope they do find it to be able to join it. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for where this channel's going. I'm excited that you guys are joining on a regular basis. Like I said, it motivates me more to keep doing this on a regular basis. But thank you so much, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Have a very safe weekend. And like I said before, if you're looking for an entry, definitely plot out your support lines and plot out a couple of different support lines. And depending how aggressive you want to be with your entry, you can determine which support line that you want to actually play. And it doesn't hurt to, if you're looking to get some skin in the game right away, to possibly play the first support line with just a little bit of an entry to see what it does, to get a little bit of skin in the game. And then if it does dip, you're able to take advantage with the capital that you have left over, because you didn't go all in at that first resistance, to put a little bit more in at the second resistance and to lower your cost average. Let me see if I can get to any comments before I end this live stream. What do I think you should do with your DigiByte? I don't know, man. You waited for the announcement that they lost. I don't know what they lost on, but yeah, there was an announcement coming up for it. I haven't looked at the price today, but yeah, it's hard for me. Like I said before, I'm not a licensed financial advisor, so it's kind of hard for me to say what you should do with it. I mean, I don't even know your situation. I don't know what your entry was. I don't know what your long-term outlook is. Did you have a game plan before you entered DigiByte? And if you didn't have a game plan, that's something I would highly recommend. Have a plan of action, before you enter a trade, and say, what, if it gets to this level, this is where I'm going to get out with a profit, or if it gets down to this level, I'm going to at least sell some of my position so that I'm not going to be taking a big hit if it does jump further. So it's very hard for me to say what you should do with that position, considering I don't really know your situation. I don't really know what the price you got in at. So, but play the support and resistance. That's what I would do. If you bought DigiByte at a very high price and it dipped on you heavily and you have capital left over, it doesn't hurt to add to that position to lower your cost average. That's one thing I would highly recommend, especially if you didn't cut your loss right away. But yeah, you guys have a great day. I appreciate you joining this live stream. And until Monday, have a great weekend. And hopefully nothing crazy happens. If something crazy does happen and I have the time, more than likely Sunday, I might end up doing a live stream. So make sure you click on that post notification. So if I do a live stream on Sunday, Eastern time zone, you will be notified. But thank you so much for joining. Enjoy your day, guys. Thank you.